Hey guys out there all listening to Games My Mom Phone, I want to give a quick disclaimer. First, if this is your first time here, welcome to Games My Mom Phone. Thanks for listening. We did have a few slight issues with this recording, and that's why I'm recording this. For some reason, my computer decided to pick up my webcam microphone for the first time that we used it, instead of the USB microphone I had plugged in. And I did not realize until the very end of this recording when I was editing, so I do want to apologize. There's going to be a little bit of, my voice doesn't sound as perfect as it should. Julian and Justin both sound amazing as always. So definitely do take a listen to the show. Hey, I hope you can enjoy it. I just wanted to put this quick out there that if it's your first time, normally we sound better than this. Normally I don't have all these technical issues, but hey, it's a podcast. And now on to the show. Welcome to episode 95 of Games My Mom Found. I am Mike Albertin, and I got nothing. Who's traveling the galaxy with me tonight? We'll go with that.
Michael Caden Hughes.
Good.
Shepard. This is Julian Titus from the Nerds Without Pants podcast.
Hi. I don't like introducing myself. Why do you put so much pressure on me? This is weird, and I don't agree with it. Hi, I'm Justin Hamm. I'm also from the Nerds Without Pants podcast. I'm also on another podcast that I have. I can't talk. It's very early. It's called Clickbait Update, where I talk about shoes and shit with my sister. I don't know what it's about. It's not about
you
anything.
Internet the online and click on the things at the bottom of the page so that they don't have to.
See, that's how you intro a podcast. See that's how you do it. You do all the work for me. I don't like this having to do all the work. It's weird.
I'm sorry. I thought with you hosting your own show that you would be able to handle it. I'll hold your hand for the rest of this show.
I realize when you give other people their own intros, it doesn't work a lot of times. Like I tried it once on my show, and I tried it for like a couple weeks, and then I very quickly realized, no, this is not going to work.
It's worked 94 times. Give it a sleeping Justin the mic. I'm not so sure about this 95th time, but it's worked before.
Yeah. Let's talk about space bullshit. What kind of drinks do you think they have in space? I like to think they have very many orange drinks. I don't know what kind of oranges there are in space, but I'm sure there's some good ones.
Space orange.
Yeah, well, better than space orange. We can do better than that. Come on, like it's got to be like Tanger orange, and they're like breeded on Asari home worlds, and they have like tentacles on them.
Okay. Wubba fruit.
And before we go too far, two things I want to get out there real fast. Well, three things, actually. First, I want to say we are on YouTube now, so please subscribe to us. I need that first 100 subscribers so I can make a custom URL, so definitely do that if you enjoy this show. Also, tell a friend. Tell someone that you enjoy Games My Mom Found. Help spread us. All right, and the last thing to say, Mike, why don't you introduce what we're talking about tonight?
We're playing 2007's Mass Effect?
I'm very sure.
I don't remember what year it came out.
It was distinctly 2007. That was the year that restored my faith in video games, because I was actually planning on sunsetting my love of video games around that time, and then it was a double whammy of Mass Effect and BioShock that kind of I was games are actually getting really good. Okay. And then now I just realized I'm not getting out of this shit. Like, this is just going to be what I do for the rest of my life.
I know.
If only we'd done a 2007 episode, Mike, I'd probably remember that.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is a close shoot I was doing. Say, did Blood Omen 2 break you? Is that what it was? Played that game?
No, we did that 2007 topic episode, and I'm pretty sure we talked about Mass Effect, but that was...
I forgot we even did that episode. I didn't even get the joke that you were going with.
That's actually the reason that I'm here, because you guys were talking some mad smack about Mass Effect, and I was like, I need to be on this show.
No recollection of that event.
Yeah, I don't remember any of that.
No, I was
too. Well, yeah, no, I'm ready for Mass Effect. Like, I remember liking it, and I think I must have fell in with the crowd where people were like, oh, it's a bad game. And then I replayed it, and I went, there is absolutely nothing wrong with this game. I'm going to get that out there right now. For me, when I played through it just a couple weeks, 2 weeks ago, I did not have one moment where I was like, okay, the Mako did piss me off a couple times, but I blame the key.
There's a rant brewing from me about the Mako that's just been boiling for weeks now and simmering within the pit of my soul, that I'll get out. But that's really it. Most of the other stuff, I mean, I have a few minor things here and there, but that's about it.
I played it on a keyboard. I couldn't get my controller to work on my PC for this game. Wow.
I'm sorry to hear that. No,
it works okay.
Yeah, I played it backwards compatible on the Xbox One X Series L.
I would have back from on my Xbox One, but my Xbox One right now is currently a brick because it just stopped working one day, and I have yet to call it in.
Oh. I'm very sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
I was really bad.
I really wanted to try it with the back compat on Xbox One X, so that's what I ended up doing. And the cool thing is that it loads faster. Obviously the elevators, you can't do anything about those, but like the actual like loading between areas is a lot faster. But I did notice a lot more glitching this time than I have in the past. And for just to let people know, like this was my 8th time playing through the game all the way through, so I'm very well versed in the glitches of Mass Effect 1. Yeah. And I was like, oh, it's freaking out a little bit more than it usually does.
I can only think of one game-breaking bug that I ran into the entire game, and it was on Ilos when I can't remember. I remember exactly where, actually. No, it was you get this little like hologram message, and then I went down this thing, and then my character was completely stuck in the geometry. Just there was nothing there. They were just stuck. It would not move, and you could jump, and they would do the infinite jump thing, and it was like, well, looks like we're gonna have to replay that section because they're not getting out of that. That was the end of that's how their journey ended that day.
It's less buggy than Avengers was last year or this year. God, this year really just this year.
Hey, it's okay. For some people listening to this episode, it will be last year, depending when they hear this.
Remember when Marvel's Avengers came out 4 years ago, and by that I mean just 3 months ago?
Yeah.
I don't think it was even 3 months ago. What am I talking about?
No, it wasn't. It was September, beginning of September.
I think you're right.
Yeah. End of August, beginning of September.
It wasn't long ago.
Yeah, it was not long ago. All right.
I kind of Mike, how did you play this on PC? Did I lose you?
Oh no, he is gone. He is dead to the void. Oh, the void has taken him.
He tried to save the bomb. He stayed with the bottom.
Well, he did. He did call himself Kaiden, and
oh yeah,
who I sent to die. So that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming I'm the only one that did this. When I start this game and the character creation comes up, I just pick the default male shepherd and go with the game.
Of course you would. Of course you would.
So boring, man.
God damn.
I did this both times I played this game. The first time I played it, I picked the default, and this time I picked the default again. Because I just do.
Tell me about your shepherd, Justin.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask before I do that. Is the male shepherd voice actor as boring as I remember them being? Because I was watching some things that I had missed in Mass Effect 2 because I was curious. And I was like, man, this guy's really boring doing these lines. He's just so robotic and weird.
I've always enjoyed the male actor. I mean, obviously he's not nearly as good as Jennifer Hale. I mean, that's just science.
I've really only done the FemShep runs because it's just how I play video games all the time. So I wanted to go as close to nostalgia as possible, so I made a female shepherd because I do love that voice actress, Jennifer Hale. She's really cool, and I just made my typical character. I was like, all right, well, what was my favorite run in Mass Effect 1 the first time I played, or the last time I played it when this got released or whatever. But I was like, yeah, I just made that character again. It was the biotics, I believe it's what is it, Vanguard, whichever one, the biotics and the shotguns and the pistols, and that was my favorite playthrough. So, and I think that run was a renegade run last time, but I'm playing ultimate good guy through all of these games. You make no bad decisions on this shit. All Paragon all the time. So I guess that's my character. I will say this: all the hair in Mass Effect sucks. All the hair options, they're all terrible.
That's weird. My guy's always bald. What are you talking about?
I mean that's fine. Okay, male options probably fine because they're short.
They're not.
They're not great. Good. I'm glad to hear it because the female hairs, you only have one good one, and then you're like, I guess that's okay. And it looks weird most of the time too. And I think it's the default one. If you pick the default femme shepherd or whatever, it's their default.
The red hair. Right?
Yeah. It's weird.
It's the shoulder length one is decent, and then if you want to do the Captain Janeway bun on top, that one is the only other one that's so.
That one's okay. I like the short hair one. There's one where they got bangs in front of the face. I dig that one. the shoulder length one, I don't like the shoulder length one because it's weird. Like I hate that hairstyle. And then they don't add anything in 2. But we'll
I'm surprised that you didn't have the long curly blonde hair to go with your favorite character, Taylor Swift.
No, nothing. Julian, what Shepard did you make? He's a person, I'm sure.
Yes, I created Benjamin Shepard, who is highly based on Benjamin Sisko from Deep Space Nine, but specifically the later seasons of Deep Space Nine where he shaves his head and grows the goatee, because like that's when you actually want to pay attention to Deep Space Nine episodes is once Sisko loses his hair. Only problem is you can't actually go bald in Mass Effect 1, so he just has like the really short military cut.
Okay.
But he is a colonist. Like he was raised in the colonies. He's a war hero, and I played him as a renegade, but a renegade who likes aliens, which is, most of the big renegade decisions in Mass Effect are geared around not liking the aliens and like kind of giving the finger to the council. But in this case, he's pro-alien and pro-integration, so he actually ended up with like a big chunk of renegade at the end, but he also had like maybe about a chunk less of Paragon by the end, which I thought was a really interesting thing to do. So I had him romance Liara, and my intention for this character is I want to see what it's like to stay true and blue to your paramour from the first game all the way through the trilogy.
Okay.
Which is difficult to do in Mass Effect 2 because they purposefully keep you away from your romance option from the first game, which is lame. But
yeah, you brought up something that I forgot to mention, that of like the origins, because I really like that aspect of this game. I totally forgot about that. So I went Earthborn, and ran with like gangs and shit. I was like, I want to be from the streets.
Wait, you can pick where you're.
Yeah.
If you create a character from scratch, Mike.
I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, I never saw that option.
It's a really cool RPG thing that this game does, where it lets you pick your backstory, and different
it affects
dialogues
your character.
And stories will happen based on what you pick. So I did that one, and then I picked the second option was like, how did you become like Shepard or whatever? I picked the Soul Survivor one, where like everybody got killed except for you on this thing. Like I was kind of like trying to make this thing where all these bad things happen to this person, but they came out of it like, you know what, because all these bad things happen to me, I'm gonna be really, really good going forward. My life has been terrible so far, and like it's fun. Like that game, I think if I remember correctly, like depending on what backgrounds you pick, it actually buffs you towards Renegade or Paragon, depending. Like I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you pick like Ruthless, like that's definitely going to like weight a lot of your stuff.
Yeah.
And also like I said, like there's certain little things that will happen. Like one of my favorite little mini quests is if you pick that you were born in the colonies, because in the colonies it gets overrun by slavers, and like everybody gets captured, but somehow you actually survive. And there's a part where when you're on the Citadel, there's this woman who is threatening to like shoot herself and other people on the dock, and she's from the same colony, and you actually go in and talk her down.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a really, and you can fuck it up too. It's a very tense type of moment, and not again, but it's where your speechcraft comes into play, which is one of my favorite parts of Mass Effect 1, as well as like putting points into Charm or Intimidate is like really important and really beneficial to you.
Yeah, I when you're Earthborn or whatever, and you run with all these gangs, like eventually the gangs find you on the Citadel, and they're like, "Hey, man, why don't you do us a favor? We need you to go." I can't remember the exact mission, but I think you're supposed to go in, rat somebody out, or not rat somebody out, but like they want you to kill somebody or something like that to help them out, because you're one of the Reds, you're one of us. And like I remember going in there and like immediately narking on him. I was like, "Hey man, there's this guy out here who just wants me to like." I was like, "Oh no, I'm a good guy now. I don't roll like that. It's stupid."
All right, so we have a few technical difficulties that I do want to note. As you heard Mike in the very beginning of this episode, he was here, and then all of a sudden his microphone decided not to work anymore. So this is the beginning of the episode, but that's unfortunately I think all we're going to get, because technical difficulties, because podcasting. That's all I got.
I mean, it's a convenient excuse, but I really think that he just doesn't want a podcast with me. Like, this is the second time ducking out on me. See how it is.
That's what it is. He's ducking us hard, and I understand his fear. We're both. Julian's very intimidating. Like, I'm afraid of him all the time. He threatens to slap me all the time.
I don't blame him.
With a giant iron glove. You can't see it, but he has one. Yeah. It's iron and it's a glove. Those exist.
When I met Justin in person last year, like, he actually flinched when I went in to go hug him. He was like, oh, you're being nice. Okay.
Yeah. Then again, I have, I was in Vietnam, which was before I was born, but that's beside the point. And
you time traveled and you were there, and then you saw the shit, and you're like, man, I probably shouldn't have time traveled to that specific point in history.
Well, that's what happened. Okay, never mind. I almost spoiled something else. Okay,
let's talk about Mass Effect. So we were talking about the backgrounds of our characters. I mean, mine was a soldier and was basic because that's what I played.
Picked soldier too?
Yeah, I went basic bitch in this game.
Okay, I didn't say my class. I picked engineer this time, which wasn't really any particular reason other than the fact that I've been playing this game like multiple times since 2007, and I only needed 2 achievements left, and they were both engineer ability related, and I got them, guys. I got them. I've got all 1,200 points on Mass Effect 1 and all, like, how many points on Mass Effect 2, and then I gave up on Mass Effect 3 because there was a bunch of multiplayer shit in there.
Okay, I played this on PC, and it was funny because, like, achievements would unlock. Like, achievement unlock, I'm like, well, that's nice. I don't give a shit.
Yeah,
like,
if not about PC achievements.
Yeah, no, Steam achievements are kind of a joke. So
yeah,
I don't even know. Like, they were just the achievement built in the actual game because
really?
It's an early 360 game, so you actually see the little flag come up the bottom. Achievement unlocked, but there was no, Xbox symbol with my points.
That makes sense because, like, when you play other playthroughs, like, you actually get things based on some of those achievements. Like, if you max out certain abilities, like, you can actually choose from them on any other character you make. So it kind of breaks the lore of the game. But, like, if you had created a biotic character and you maxed out Singularity, for example, you can then create a soldier and give them Singularity, which, again, like, that's impossible in the lore of Mass Effect. But, if you're playing through a second or third time, you just want to have fun. I don't really, it doesn't bother me. It's not Mass Effect Andromeda where it's like, oh, I just decided to be a biotic today. It's like, no. So here's the thing. Like, I should say, like, just off the rip, not only is Mass Effect 1 my favorite game in the series, it is one of my top 5 games of all time. And longtime listeners of Nerds Without Pants know that, like, it takes a lot for games to crack that top 5 for me. And it's only been in the last couple of years where I've been like, no, Mass Effect deserves to be in that top 5. It is one of my favorite games of all time. And I used to know the Mass Effect lore better than I knew Star Wars and Star Trek combined, but I had forgotten a lot of it in the last few years. So for this playthrough, I went hard for you, Mike. I read every codex entry. I reread Mass Effect Revelation, which is the prequel book. Ask me anything about Mass Effect. I'm here for you.
Okay, good, because I didn't read half the things people said to me, and I just clicked through the buttons and did the decisions. I did read, like, the main when they would talk, but I read fast. I'd skip hitting spacebar, and I would read spacebar, read spacebar. So I was kind of in a rush to play this game, partly because of podcast and my time and my time constraints I make for myself with the show, but partly just I've already done it once before, so I kind of like just enjoying. And plus, I was really enjoying the gameplay. Like, I did not want to stop just shooting people and running around. Like, I was having so much fun. And I know a lot of people like will hate on this gameplay. I had no problem with it at all.
So. How are you playing it though?
Easy difficulty.
No, not that. Like I actually. So this time was the first time I ever played Mass Effect 1 on easy, which that ended up being like a detriment for me, just because I usually play it on like the highest difficulty setting, just because I've played it so many times, and I ended up blowing through the game in like almost half the time that I normally take on it. But I mean, actually, like, so you're in a counter. Like, what are you doing?
Usually, if I can get away with it, running at them and shooting. I don't cover sometimes, but on easy, you can get away with a lot. Plus, my guy I maxed out armor, I maxed out those kind of stats, so he could take a beating before he'd go down.
Interesting, because
that's played very tanky.
Because that's that's the way that. So here's the thing, right? And the reason that I came on like ready to like defend this game, and I'm surprised that you actually really enjoyed it, Mike. But
yeah,
because this is one of those like quote unquote universal truths, like, oh, Mass Effect 1 is the worst game in the series, just like people like, you know, the universal truth is that the Matrix sequels are terrible movies, and it's like, well, that's not a universal thing, like, you know, that's not across the board. But
I don't know if that's exactly true, because most people that I've heard, it's usually 2's the best, 1's after that, and then 3's the worst. Like 3 is the most universally hated one.
Let me amend that. They say that Mass Effect 1 plays the worst.
Okay,
of the 3.
all right. Okay, I can understand.
They say like Mass Effect 1, yeah, it's better than 3, but it plays like garbage. And so here's the thing: is that I'm not a video game gatekeeper. You know, like Mike, you play games in certain ways on this podcast where I kind of arch my eyebrow, but I'm not. Yep, but I don't hold it against you. Like, it's like you do you. It doesn't matter. But I will say that, like, people who hate the gameplay of this game, you're probably playing it wrong. But that's not your fault. It's not your fault, because the game has like a horrendous tutorial, or lack of tutorial, really.
I was going to say, what tutorial are you talking about?
They tell you how to like fire your gun and get into cover, and that's really about it.
Yeah.
I was so the first time that I ever played this game, I got halfway through it and I was like tolerating the combat but not really enjoying it. And then I reread the instruction manual and I was like, oh, that's what you're supposed to do, because the way that you're really supposed to play Mass Effect 1 is you need to be pausing the game and selecting abilities, and like, you know, really, like, you can get so strategic with this game, and that's why I love playing it so many times. Is throughout this entire run, I was cackling like a madman at the shit that I was doing to enemies, because, like, you know, so like the Geth Colossus is like it's like this 4-legged like giant laser tank, right? It's kind of like a mini boss in the series. I got to one of them like later on in the game. It never got to do a thing because I had Liara like pop it into singularity, and then I had me and Tally both had like overload, so we like shredded its shields, and then I started to like pepper it with fire, and as it started to fall, then I had Liara do lift on it, so it was still up in the air, and it was still in the air after it was destroyed. It was just like floating in there, and I was like, that's fucking great. You know, I love this game.
It's cool hearing that. The way I played it is I held down the W key, I walked up to it, then I held down the left trigger, the left mouse, and I just held that down and I watched the health go down. Yeah. I mean, I played it wrong, but like hearing you play, that sounds so much cooler in the way that I put it.
Yeah, it is a thing that you could do in these games, and it's really, really fun when you do shit like that. See, the way I remember getting to Ilos, or not Ilos. That's Ilos. Which one?
Ilos is right by the end.
Yes, Ilos. That's okay. I was right. I get okay. So I played Mass Effect 2 as well, and there's a planet called Ilium, and I'm constantly confusing the two. They sound exactly the same. So if you hear me like stop for a second to remember which one I'm talking about. Okay, Ilos. I got to Ilos, and I remember there's a part where they pop these armatures at you, and I remember being like, oh, this is supposed to be really hard, and I had Tally hack into one of them, and they just turned and just destroyed everyone in the room for me.
Oh,
and,
AI hacking is so
good.
Right?
Yeah, Tally is like ridiculously overpowered, especially if like you're not an engineer. Like Julian was an engineer, but like
I had double AI hack, double sabotage.
Yeah,
like, it was
exactly. Yeah, Tally in that game, because almost all the main enemies that you're fighting are all Geth and are all like robots. Like she can just hack into them and it just wrecks house. Like it's insane.
Right? I didn't play this, or I only use the same characters every time I play this game. I use Ashley and I use Garrus, and that's it.
God damn it, man! Crazy.
I know. I mean, again, hearing the way Julian described fighting those tank things, where me was just holding down a button and walking in circles, sounds a lot cooler.
Yeah, man. Like, and there's a lot of different strategies you can employ. Like when you're playing on harder difficulties, like you definitely want to be using stuff like sabotage or like dampening to do like damage over time. And you want to be, if you have a biotic that can do stasis, like that basically just like stops an enemy. You can't do any damage to them, but it takes them out of the fight for a bit. So if you get into a situation where it's like, here's 2 Krogan and here's a Geth Juggernaut, let me stop that. Let me AI hack the Geth Juggernaut and then stop this Krogan in his tracks, and then we'll focus down on the other Krogan, because Krogans are really hard to kill. And then once he's down, then we can focus on the other Krogan, and then by that point the AI hacking will have worn off, and then we just biotic the shit out of the the Geth Juggernaut, and then Bob's your uncle. You're done.
That sounds.
Yeah, and like all the like abilities that we're talking about get really. So we were talking earlier, like, you know, 2's widely considered the best gameplay wise. Like when you jump from 1 directly into 2, it is a jump. It is super jarring. It is very, very jarring. It goes really, really cover shooter, which is fine, but like it nukes. Nuke is the wrong word. It kind of nerfs. That's the word I was looking for. It nerfs a lot of the powers to where like they're not nearly as interesting. Yeah. Like Lift in Mass Effect 1, like Mass Effect 1 is really awesome. Like you hit it and the guy goes floating, and that's cool. Lift in Mass Effect 2 sometimes just doesn't do anything. You just watch it just bounce off. It's like, all right, why do I even have this? It's stupid. Now eventually you can power it up to where it does stuff and it's fine. And there's like a few extra things here and there in 2 that are pretty neat. Like I like Shockwave. I think that's pretty fun. Like, but it's really only later in the game that it gets fun. And like the fact that in like Mass Effect 1, you can kind of like, hey, I'm not good with the assault rifle, but I can still use it. It's fine. Mass Effect 2, they just go, no, you just don't use assault rifles. You're not allowed. Don't.
Okay. I was, as a soldier, I could use all the weapons. I only really use assault rifle because I like it better.
That makes sense.
Mike rejoined the call. Is it working now, Mike?
You tell me.
You're quiet, but I can work with that.
Yeah, I can't do anything about that.
That's fine. Level later will take care of you.
We definitely hear you now.
Yeah.
It's different headset.
So we got Mike back. So I just avoid my earlier disclaimer that said that we lost Mike, but I'm going to leave it in because I want you to know how much we love you guys, and we have suffered to record this episode. Justin Julian woke up early. Mike had to go through 2 microphones. What we do for us here.
I'm drinking a Monster Papillion. I don't know what that means.
Well, you're really trying to suffer today, huh?
Yeah, it has lots of butterflies on the can, so I'm thinking that's a very positive.
So if anyone wants to poison Justin, just put a bunch of butterflies in the bottle of poison.
I'll drink it. It's fine.
So, Mike, we've been talking about the different abilities and how we were playing the game and how I play the game wrong.
Yes.
I think I played the game wrong.
It sounds like something you would do.
I'm the kind of guy that would play Resident Evil 2 with infinite ammo because I can. Just fuck that game.
I guess I was only a step above you because instead of just the default Shepard, I was default Fem Shep. So
okay.
Some of us are creative, unlike Justin and Julian.
Shaking my head. You have so infinite options. Like I've played this game 8 times, and it's been different every single time that I've played the game.
So when I say I played default, I mean that I was just the default look. Like I wasn't. I didn't select like Jane Shepard or whatever the thing it prompts you with. So I was an adept.
Okay, all right.
He's not like me. He actually cares about character creation. Where I'm like, oh, look at that. I'm basic pitch today. That's me.
And then Mike said he was going Paragon, so I was going full Renegade, which was a lot of fun, actually.
Nice.
It's been a while.
Hey, Julian, I don't think, did you say what you went for in this? Did you? Because I know Justin went Paragon, like pure Paragon.
Yeah, my character he's Renegade, but he likes aliens, which, so you end up getting like a pretty good split of Paragon and Renegade points that way. And I gotta say, I know we'll get into the story here a little bit, like having just reread the prequel book, and then also just through the lens of politics lately, humans fucking suck in the Mass Effect universe, and they are wrong. And they are whiny children that don't deserve half the shit that they get from the council, and the other species are right to be angry. And it really sucks.
More so than Udina, he's the personification of that exact thing you just described.
Yes.
He's such a whiny bitch.
Yes.
I don't like him. Udina is the what the hell is that word?
He's the human ambassador.
It's also an ambassador. I was like, I know the word. I know it's there. It's there. I know it starts with an A. That's all I had. Okay, he's the ambassador between the humans and the Council of Aliens. I'll do a very quick rundown, and I'll let Julian do the more detailed and fix my errors. So Mass Effect takes place, 500 yeyears after where we're at now, I want to say?
That's about right.
2140. So
21 something.
Oh, no, yeah, you're right. Yeah, sorry.
20 years. So it takes place... we became the Space Marines Space Force became a real thing, and eventually we end up meeting other galaxies. They meet other aliens. They find out these things called mass relays, which let you travel from one galaxy to the next. So essentially warp speed, but faster. And were built by someone else. They use them. They meet other aliens. The aliens are kind of letting them join into this whole federation of aliens and planets. And then everything is done at the Citadel, which is a big base that was built by somebody else. Nobody knows who. So we're going to land here and make it our base because, hey, I think it's a good idea when you find a random structure that you don't know who built it. You just make shop. Put up shop.
Yeah. Like well, I know we're going to get into it with Ashley later on, but there's reasons that people should be distrustful of all this stuff because it's like everybody's like, oh yeah, this was here when we got here, and even the Astari who have been here for like I don't know 15,000 years or something is like, yeah, this was just here, and it's like that seems fine. Yeah. These keepers that you don't know like how they operate and they just kind of maintain the station, that's probably okay.
We can't get any information on them, and every time we try to touch them, they self-destruct. It's all good. It's okay. Yeah. They really made some just like assumptions that everything was totally okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, they are assuming that it was the Protheans that made everything and not anything else. But
yeah, it wasn't anybody else. What are you talking about? No. I should say, since it hasn't come up yet in this episode, there will be spoilers for Mass Effect. We might already spoil it, I don't know.
Really? Oh, I gotta go. I can't be spoiled on Mass Effect right now. I'm sorry.
We spoiled how abilities work, not as good in 2 and stuff like that so far, and I think we made it. We said Suicide Mission a couple times, but that doesn't mean anything.
Oh, it's fine. I played through both games, so here we go.
I wasn't thinking of you. I was thinking of our listeners.
Oh, I don't care about them. No. I'm sure they're fine.
I forgot
to sound very positive. I'm sure they're fine. I'm sure your listeners are fine. I love some of the things I say that aren't very good. Anyway, what were we talking about?
So I know the Atari came first. I actually watched a YouTube video that went through the whole timeline because they kind of explain it in the game where you find out that the Krogans, which are like alien barbarians, I think is the best way for me to describe them, right?
Well, so the thing with the Krogans is that in order to put down the Rachni horde, the Solarians, the Turians.
No, it was the Solarians. Yeah,
I thought the Solarians were the ones that started the genophage, but it was the Turians that weaponized them.
I believe it was both, if I'm correct.
Okay. I believe. At any rate, the council decided to give a bunch of future tech to this race of beings that wasn't ready for it. So imagine if at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution in America, aliens came and gave us laser rifles and nuclear weapons and spaceships, how we would have been ill prepared for that. If that happened right now, we would probably be a little bit better equipped to handle that shit. Yeah. But in 1900, shit would have gone real bad real fast. Yeah. And that's what happened to the Krogan homeworld is they were like, we've got nukes now. We're going to use them on each other. Yeah, they just kind of bombed the shit out of their home planet.
Yeah, it was 100% the Solarians that found them and brought all that technology to them, and then they became that. I'm not sure who actually weaponized them against the Rachni. I can't remember. I think that was a galaxy-wide decision. I think they went, we need these guys to do this thing because they're the only ones that can.
And then it was the Turians who helped put stop the Krogan rebellion, and then it was the Solarians who introduced the genophage to squelch their numbers by
because they won't stop reproducing.
Yeah, it's 1 in 1,000 births actually goes all the way to term.
Yeah.
Which is really terrible.
It's not good. It's not great. No. But yeah, that's the story of the Krogan. They're pretty cool.
And you also do get a Krogan in this game. I didn't use them really because
you didn't use the best character in the game.
I saved him though. I didn't have to kill him, so that counts.
Okay, so I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but playing it on easy makes that part really shitty. Because if you're playing on any other difficulty, if you do not have a fully maxed out charm or a fully maxed out intimidate, you will end up killing Rex. It's a monumental decision. But on easy, they just give it to you. And I was
maxed out.
Wow, I didn't know that. Yeah, because I played it on normal, and I know to put all the points in. I'm like, no, I know this is coming up. I know I need to have this stuff, and usually it unlocks a lot of the dialogue options too. I did not know it just gives it to you on easy. So
okay. I'm a little sad now. I thought, I put all these stats in here too.
Yeah,
go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
I was the same way Justin was, where I knew that it was coming up, so I was putting points into the intimidate as often as I could, just to be prepared.
Yeah,
Charmer. was very
Yeah, I didn't want to be Intimidate. Felt more renegade. I was trying to be the good guy, even though I did make a few renegade decisions a couple times. So
yeah, if you're playing Paragon, you want to put it into Charm. If you're playing Renegade, you want to put it into Intimidate. That's basically how it goes. In future Mass Effects, they don't have the dialogue options for stats. You just do the thing, and you slowly have to make through your gameplay and the decisions you make and the triggers you pull and random little cutscenes, which is a weird fucking thing that I forgot about until it happened. I was like, oh yeah, this game's fucking weird. Then you slowly build up your little meter, and then you become good or evil or both or something. I don't know how that actually works because I only did Paragon stuff. And somehow the game worked out okay. Yeah, I like putting the points into the thing and like actually feeling like I'm sacrificing something else to get this other conversation and get more out of the dialogue, you know?
Yeah. Because you do get a ton of points throughout leveling the game. Like you can max out a bunch of stats, but it's like if you spend all those points to max out like one of your speech things, that's at the detriment of another ability that you could have maxed out. Yeah. So and maxing stuff out actually does make a huge difference. Like you throw a fully leveled Singularity into a group of enemies and it just turns the entire room into chaos, and it's glorious.
Yeah. And it should be noted, like, for those who are like, man, Mass Effect 2 was the best one. Like, leveling up in Mass Effect 2 is such a bummer. Like, I can't explain it. Like, you're leveling up all the time in Mass Effect 1, just all the time. They're just throwing levels at you, and it feels great because you always have points to put into things, and like sometimes it's fun when you haven't used a character in a little while to be like, oh, they have like 15 levels. All right, great. I put all these points into things, and it's really fun. In Mass Effect 2, it's like I have 3 points. I don't want any of these abilities. I'm gonna have to wait for another level, and the only way it levels up is after a mission, because they basically segmented that game into mission structures, like mission complete, and then you get a like end screen, and you leveled up this time. And it's really weird and jarring. Like, if you don't believe me, go back and play that game, and then you'll be like,
I will be.
It will be like midway through, and you'll be like, oh, well, I don't care about incendiary ammo. I just want to max this other thing out, but I have to, wait another level. So I guess I'm not going to spend any points this level. Like, you feel like there's just levels that are useless. You're just waiting. You're just sitting with points that you can't use or don't want to use. And there's not even anything really interesting to spend them on. Like, it's a big problem with that game. Like, I'll basically say it like this: Mass Effect 2 learned all the wrong lessons from Mass Effect 1. Like they heard, oh, the cover shooting's a little weird in this game. Like we wish people would, and they heard, oh, cover shooter, make that. Okay, got it. And took out like RPG.
I had no problem cover shooting in this game though when I did it.
Once you get used to it, it's not bad. But it is a little clunky. Like especially
it's also. Like, it's not really designed to be a cover shooter, which is like one of the things that I really love about the first game, because since you don't have to worry about reloading, it's really more of a game about like keeping on the move and using your abilities, like I said. And when you start to lose shields, then you use the ability that charges your shields back up. And like you have a lot more mobility and ability to handle every situation instead of, oh, here's some waist high cover, let me hide behind this for the entirety of this fight.
I didn't hide that much when I could help.
No, you don't have to. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Mass Effect 2, if you're not behind waist-high cover, you're going to die.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like, it's basically like you said. The cover shooting is almost like just a cool little feature that this game has. Like, hey, you can totally go into these encounters and do this thing. It's a little like hard to control here and there, especially like at first. Once you get used to it, it's not bad. Like I didn't have like I think 2 hours into the game, I was like, oh yeah, I remember how to do this. It's a little wonky to go back to, especially like after you played like more modern games. But like after a couple hours with it, you're like, oh yeah, this isn't too bad. I remember having the weirdest thing. I was like, how do I throw grenades in this game? There's and I was like, oh, it's the back button.
Yeah,
oh,
you don't want to do the grenades.
It's the R key.
You have to do it in one mission if you're Paragon. You have to. Thorian.
I have even on my like all Paragon run, like those people don't all survive because even if you do equip the gas grenade, it's still on the same cooldown. So it's like unless you get like a perfect shot, like some of them are just going to have to die. It's a really crappy part of that game.
I messed it up.
There's a cooldown for the grenades?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I ran out of grenades. I saved 2 people. I said, oh, I'm out of grenades. I shot everyone else in the face.
Yeah, see, it took me 2 tries to do save the Thorians. We'll get to this later. It took me 2 tries to do it. The first time, I think one of my teammates just shot one of them, like randomly, or something hit him. And I was like, oh, that sucks. And then the second time, I just like kind of like laid back, waited back, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna take my time and I'm gonna hit these motherfuckers with these grenades. And I did it, like nailed it, like first try, knocked it out of the park because I'm the superior pro gamer on this podcast. not bragging. But I played it on normal. They played it on easy. So you be the judge.
You're more focused than I am.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, no, I didn't have. That was the only time I used grenades, though. I think I keep thinking I might have used them one other time. Yes, I did. I threw them at this one Geth at one point because the Mako is a piece of garbage. Again, that rant is coming soon.
I like the Mako. Besides the controls being on a keyboard, I had a hard time. I'm going to blame the keyboard. We'll get there shortly. One thing I do want to get, because the story beat that I don't completely know that probably in the book, so I'm going to ask Julian. The whole thing with Saren, and when he finds the Reaper, finds Sovereign, is that in the book?
Yes. It's not revealed until towards the end of the book, but basically Saren finds Sovereign, and it's about 10 years from the end of the first book to the beginning of Mass Effect 1. So it's interesting, too, because you definitely see that, like, the scientists who are working on this discovery, they don't know what it is. Like, they're definitely indoctrinated right away. Okay. But somehow Saren is able to go, I think it's because he limits his exposure, but he's able to survive, like, over 10 years without getting completely indoctrinated. Now, one thing that I think the game doesn't do very well is establish Saren as a bad guy, which the book does extremely well. Yeah. Because even when even before he discovers Sovereign, he's a Spectre. He is like the worst of the bad cops. Like, he does not give a fuck. Like, okay. he will kill anybody and everyone in service of the greater good. And he is a cold-hearted motherfucker who also his in the first contact war with the humans, so he completely hates humanity. And
they don't mention that.
Yeah. What's that? Yeah, they don't mention that. And also, the whole reason that he's doing this is because not only does he want to stop humanity, but he wants to get revenge on the Council, who gave humanity a bunch of concessions after the end of the first contact war. Because basically the Council was like, hey, Turians, you fired first, so now you have to pay all these reparations to these stupid, dumb pink apes.
Very familiar to history there, huh?
Yeah. So Saren has a big axe to grind against really everybody in the galaxy. But also, like, when you first see Saren in the game, he's clearly already, like, gethed up. Like, he's got, like, parts of, like, Geth, like, in his body. And it's like, I think they were supposed to not show that until later, but maybe they ran out of time to, like, model him normal. Because, like, when you see him later on in the game, it's supposed to be this thing like, oh, like, you're with the Geth now or whatever. And it's like, but you can tell at the beginning he's got a fucking robot arm with, like, cables stuck into his head.
He's already joined them. Sorry, Mike.
He's got his LED teeth in there, too.
Yeah. So for those that don't know, Saren is one of the aliens, Taurians, and he's also, like, as Julian was saying, like, special forces. But that's cool because you don't get that. I mean, there's a little bit where there is that between the ambassador, Keith David, a voice actor, and they talk about, he's excellent in this, where they talk about, like, how he worked with Saren, doesn't like Saren doesn't like humans, but they never really, like, you don't get, they could have easily put little lines. There's so much freaking talking in this game, too, we haven't even really completely mentioned yet. They don't ever say anything about that.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer. And also, like, when Anderson says, like, oh, well, Saren, like, I was supposed to be the first human Spectre, but Saren, like, gave me a bad report. That's kind of true, but it's another thing where, like, in the first book, like, humans, they were working on, like, an AI program, which is, like, that is the one forbidden thing in Council space, is you do not fuck with AI because of the Geth, right? But humanity was trying that because we're idiots. And And so eventually, like, the council finds out, and not only does the human ambassador in the book somehow get away with just getting a slap on the wrist, but then she makes a demand of the council to put a human, to evaluate Anderson to be a human Spectre. And it's like, why you don't get you don't get to do that. But it's not the council deciding that they want a human Spectre. So it's like when Anderson says that like his spot was blown, technically it was, but like the council wasn't ready to really like adopt a human Spectre until you get to Mass Effect 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do like that story though. That's like their attempt to like really establish Saren as the bad guy, because like the more you dig into that story, the more he's like, yeah, I got like, he set it up to where I was going to have a bad report. It wasn't like, no, he just said I did bad. No, like he set it up to where like all these innocent people died and all this shit.
That's what I was thinking. Like he's like, oh, that guy's an asshole. But I say he's an asshole. Fuck him. Like that's what I thought it was. No.
Okay. Saren destroys an entire Element Zero processing plant in order to get the bad guy, and then pins it on Anderson.
Okay.
And we're talking about like there are a few like mercenaries in there, but it is 99% innocent workers and their families. Like it's women, children, and spouses and workers that are just trying to like make a living, and he kills them all.
Yeah, that's his like big character reveal. And then like the other thing that I guess they try to do character wise, I mean they do some stuff on Veermeyer, I guess, just to make it seem how far gone he is now. But when you first meet him, you meet like, because you get the I forget his name, Nihilus, the first Spectre that you have on your first mission, and he goes in and like he's talking to, he's like, oh Saren, I didn't expect to see you, and then he shoots him or whatever, and it's like it's the most dramatic bad guy pose ever. Like, oh, shoot him in the back because I'm a bad guy. Like that's really like the most characterization Saren gets.
That's what makes you know Saren's the villain, because this guy's like, oh, it's good, you know, like he makes that, like you just said, and then he shoots him. Like,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
All there is. It's cool to know the book gives you so much more. That kind of, I would have liked to have read the book.
I wish that the game did a better job of like, because you don't really get to see a lot of Saren throughout most of the game, and you don't like, you hear about stuff that he's doing, but it's never like, you know, what actually is he doing? Is it really bad? Like, okay, he's got the Geth with him, but is that also like as bad as we're thinking it is? And it's really not until like the very end where, you know, you get to realize like what has happened, and also we're jumping ahead, but one of the things that I've always loved about the ending of Mass Effect 1, again, if you put your points into speech, if you max out one of those, you totally get Saren to kill himself at the beginning. I have never fought the first phase of the final boss fight.
Nor have I.
There's a first phase? Oh.
There's a first phase if you aren't able to get him to shoot himself in the head.
Yeah.
Since we've been bringing the Geth a lot, Mike, do you want to explain what the Geth are, kinda?
The Geth are machine people.
Okay.
You're clearly asking the right person. They're like a kind of hive mind, right?
Yes.
They're Borg, except they're robots.
Yeah, they're so the thing that I love about Mass Effect is that it's kind of like a love letter to science fiction in general, and so the story of the Geth and the Quarians is straight up Battlestar Galactica from 2005.
I wish I knew what you were talking about, other than I know the names you said. I've never watched it. It's one of those gaming. If it was on, okay, I have a quick rant. It was on Netflix. I started watching it. They took it off Netflix, and I haven't watched it since. And I really, really want to get into that show one day.
Okay, that's fair. But so you know the basics.
Yes.
So the Quarians created robots in order to help them with their daily life, and they weren't AI. Like they specifically made it to where they couldn't learn, but they still evolved to the point where they could. And then the Geth overthrew the Quarians and kicked them out of their home planet. And so since then, for 300 years, the Quarians have just been living in a fleet. Yeah. And, you know, as their ships, like, you know, decay, they rebuild them, and then they buy cheap ships in order to, like, you know, replenish their stock. And they've been on the run for 300 years.
Oh, wow. All praise the Quib. Oh, that's the best part of Mass Effect 2. You get to go on their little flotilla, and you meet this guy, and he's a real dick. And you're like, what's the deal with his last name? And they're all like, oh, you should not have asked him this. He's like, yes, I'm a member of the Quib. We can't change the name of the ship. So all the Quarians have the last name of what ship they're on, which is pretty cool.
Yes.
Okay. And like the Geth. You get a little bit more of this in 2, but you do get to hear. I know Tally will tell you a lot of stuff about the Geth if you ask her, and I know I think she mentioned this in 1 where
I never brought her on.
There's you just talked to her on the ship.
Yeah,
I didn't do that. I didn't talk to anybody.
You played the game so wrong.
I rushed it.
You talk to Tally on the ship, and she talks about the Geth and how they gain sentience or whatever. And there's a moment where they ask why they're alive or something like that. And in Mass Effect 2, you actually get to hear the exact moment that it happens, and then because you actually recruit a Geth, and that's a really cool thing because Legion from Mass Effect 2, he's they're like, is this the first actual instance of this happening? A Geth asking why they're alive and what their purpose is, and he's like, no, this is just the first time somebody got scared when we asked it. And it's oh, that's such a cool. I don't know why that line gave me chills when I heard it, but Geth are cool.
And it sets up basically the core thing about the whole Mass Effect trilogy, which is organics versus synthetics, right? Because that's also what the Reapers represent, is that they are a synthetic life form far beyond anything that we could ever dream of, and the Geth revere them as gods, but the Reapers are so far above everything they don't even care about that. The Geth are just a means to an end, and that is a strong backbone of the series all the way through.
Indeed. Well said.
Because we were talking about, we should mention that the way this game starts off, that we haven't really gotten there, is you end up getting sent on your first mission. We were talking a little bit with where Nihilus, and you find out Theron's a bad guy. One thing I do want to mention is you fight these weird zombie things on there.
The husks.
Yeah, I had always thought until very recently that they had something to do with the Geth, and I found out it had something to do with the Reapers made them, and they're just people that were stationed there a long time. Am I right then?
I think that's Geth technology.
I believe it's a bit of both. I think it's Geth using Reaper technology to turn them into the husks. I believe. Because I don't think they have the technology to just make the husk. I think they Sovereign grants that to them, and then they take it down, and then they do that weird skewer thing. I think that's how it works.
You don't see them often, but you see them a bunch in certain parts that seem like ruins. So I was wondering maybe there were things that were hidden down there as a safety measure.
Yeah, no,
they're definitely created right before you see them, because it's a thing that hasn't been seen up until that Eden Prime mission. That's kind of the first time that happens. And there are certain side missions where certain scientific places or scientific research facilities have gone dark, and then you go in there and it's they're all husks now because they were researching some weird technology, and then it actually turned them into husks.
Yeah.
Okay. That was one of those things that kind of got me questioning. And I do like how because I think we kind of bounce around, but this game does have a lot of different conversation bubbles. You get to choose what you want to say, and that's how it affects if you're an asshole or not. I know Mike had made a comment where his wife was watching him, and he was being he said, you want to tell a story?
Oh, yeah, I was just selecting every renegade option that came up, and Commander Shepard's being a real biatch. My wife's just so, how you playing it this time? It's good stuff.
I didn't play it like that.
Well, I would play Renegade just so I can kick the guy out the window into.
The thing that I like about the Paragon and Renegade system in Mass Effect is that it's not a good and evil thing. It's really what type of military personality do you want to be? Do you want to be the person who does everything by the book, or do you want to be the person who just wants to get shit done? And that's really what it kind of boils down to. I think I don't remember, but in 3, there might be some decisions towards the end of the series where you were it's a full on oh, that was a really evil thing to do. But by and large, for the most part, it's more of like we talked about the people infected by the Thorian on Pharos. So with the grenade thing, for my character, he was I don't got time for that shit. If they get in my way, they're going down. And so by the time we got back to Zoo's Hope after everything was done, there was one person left in the colony.
At least you saved somebody. I had, I think, 2 or 3 because I ran out of grenades, I thought.
It was by accident. I just never found them.
Yeah. Yeah, I put them all to sleep.
My character, the way I was the way I was playing, they probably could have turned back to normal and been like, oh, I don't know, he looks still pretty green to me. We better take care of this guy.
Yeah.
Just to be safe.
I think it's funny. Oh, I should ask, I think we kind of... Did you guys switch characters throughout the game, or did you guys just use the same characters like me? I used the same two the entire game.
Yeah, I used the same two party
members.
members.
Oh, you mean crew? Like, as far as who you took every time? I took different people all the time. I don't know why.
Well, that's good, though. You were experiencing the game more gamey than I was just using Ashley, the xenophobe, racist, and Garrus because he looks cool. I
tended to roll, like, I do appreciate this about the first Mass Effect. Like, there's those little bars that show where you're strong in. I always thought that was pretty cool, like, because I forgot about it until I played it this time. And I was, like, keeping a lot of those even for a while until I just went, nah. Just was like, I'm just gonna have Tali do all my electronic stuff and Liara do all my biotics because like it's so ridiculous. That eventually became my team, but like I rolled with Rex for a while. I had Garrus in my party. I had it just kind of like, what was I feeling when I went on this mission? That's who I took, or like who did I think was important here? Like there are a few loyalty missions in here. Not many, I think. I know Garrus has one where you hunt down this Solarian that was like harvesting people. He was growing organs inside of people and harvesting them. So you have to take Garrus for that one. And I forget.
Rex has one where you get his family armor.
Yes, Tali has one too. It's not. I don't know if it's as important, but Tali has the one where like you blow up all these Geth bases and then you find like something that she can take back to the flotilla to like for her pilgrimage or whatever.
Man, I should have did these.
Yeah, you should have.
Yeah, I kind of regret because I was actually upset because I was kind of rushing and I got to a point when I finished. I was like, okay, I got time. Like I got more time before we do this episode. I want to do some more side quests. And I went, oh no.
And they pay off like huge when you do go into Mass Effect 2 because a lot of them come back up. A lot of this stuff.
Yeah, I know. I'm actually bummed that I didn't go to the moon and do that side quest. I just did the main stuff.
That one is actually, you can take that or leave it. That's just DLC, and it's
Is that DLC?
Fine. Is that the Pinnacle Station?
I thought it was DLC. The moon. Oh no, the moon mission isn't. No, you're right. Because that's where you get your specialist.
That's where you get your specialist class. Yeah, that's like a pretty important one.
Pinnacle Station is the one that you want to skip. It sucked.
Okay, yeah, I didn't do any of the DLC. I seen there was DLC, and I was like, I don't think I need to do that.
It's not that. I did it I did it back then for achievement because I was an achievement whore when I first played this game.
These things happen.
Yeah. But and that's the thing is so for me in previous times I would stick with like two characters because they had these awful achievements for Mass Effect 1 where you have to do all of the quests with like this character with each character basically. So it's like you have to plan like you're going to do everything with these characters in order to get that achievement. Now, the first time I had Ashley in my party the entire time because she was like my romance character and she's actually one of my favorite characters in Mass Effect 1. But then other times it's like, okay, now I've got to use just these two characters. So on this time, I didn't have to, I had those achievements already. So I was switching people out on almost every mission. And that's really cool for, like different, like you get different reactions from characters on different missions.
Right.
Okay. Oh, what were you going to say?
I went through Eden Prime, and I opened up every locker using the decryption skill, where you got to do the Simon Says to unlock them. Mm-hmm. And when I got to the end of that, I'm like, I'm not going to take any tech characters for the rest of the game, just so I don't do this, because I know I'm going to open every locker I come across.
Yeah, so I took spend Omnigel instead of having to do the minigame.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, the minigame in this one is fine. Honestly,
it's not great, but it's not great. But also like you miss out on a lot of quests if you're not like hacking everything that you find and opening stuff. And
do you remember what the mini games are in Mass Effect 2?
Yeah, because I started playing Mass Effect 2 right after that.
I know you do. I'm asking. I want to know if they do. Do they remember?
Oh yeah, because I started it up right after this too.
All right.
We'll see if Mike remembers.
I have nothing. I didn't even do. As I'm looking at all the mini games right now on here, I didn't even do some of these.
Okay, well,
I don't remember the bypass.
I'll tell you. Yeah, there's bypassing. So it's match the little circuits. I hate it. It's not as bad as the other one, which is match up these little weird text-looking things and don't hit any of the X's because that's bad. Does it make any sense? No, it doesn't. But that's what you got to do. It's, oh my God, I hate it. And most of the stuff that you break into doesn't matter because it's just like, you broke into this thing and you got 3,000 credits. Oh my God, you got 3,000 credits. It's so many credits. It's not nearly enough credits. Everything in that game's like fucking $100,000.
I do love the broken economy in Mass Effect where it's like you'll do a side quest and they'll be like, oh, well, I'm gonna give you 500 credits, and then you can like intimidate them or charm them to get more, and it's like, okay, I'll give you 750, and it's like, I can't wipe my ass with 750 credits. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, you get most of your money in that game from getting all like the like resources and stuff. Like that gives you a pretty good chunk of change. Like and
all just selling off all your gear that you drop. Like,
yeah.
I maxed out my money towards the end of the game.
Oh, me too. Yeah, me too. Yeah,
I didn't buy it in this game. Like, I get money, but I didn't use it for anything. I never bought a single piece of equipment or anything.
Missed out on all the Spectre Master weapons. You missed out on the Colossus armors for everyone. Man, my crew was rolling tight in that red and black, son. It was all rolling red and black.
Basic. I did change our equipment a little bit, but not very much.
The downside to not decrypting all that stuff is I had the same pistol and armor until Veermeyer, I think, before I finally got something new from Eden Prime.
Guys are
but I was an adept, so I was good.
But stuff also drops from enemies constantly, like
I didn't get any pistols.
They even have numbers at the end of it to be like, oh, this number is bigger, and clearly it goes up.
I got like the modifiers, but I didn't get any like actual equipment for some reason.
Huh. I never used did anyone actually, like, you get different ammo, it said, like, you can change out your ammo or something? I never.
If you're playing on easy or normal, it doesn't matter. But if you're playing on the highest difficulty level, it's crucial, because if you're using like ammo that's good against organics when you're fighting the Geth, like, you're not going to do any damage to them hardly at all, and it's very important. And so one of my big complaints about Mass Effect 1 is the clunky inventory system, but the solution was not to just remove the inventory system. The solution was to fix the inventory system, but BioWare decided to go a different route. And I don't want to talk too much about Mass Effect 2 because I know we're going to get there eventually, but I think me and Justin are bringing it up just because, like, Mass Effect 2 is always held up as like, this is the pinnacle of the series, but we're like, no, actually Mass Effect 1 is like a lot more fun to play, and you get a lot more options at every step of the game.
I know I said it before, and I'll say it again. Mass Effect 2 learned all the wrong lessons. They moved into cover shooter territory, moved out of RPG territory, and it's like...
And Mass Effect 1 is a straight-up RPG.
It really is. Like, it's kind of a cool fusion of both of them. Like, it has the shooting stuff in there, but like, it's so much more of an RPG, and it's it's good. It's just a good game.
It feels like BioWare overcorrected all the complaints people had about the first game, and it's not as big as a departure as Dragon Age 2 was to Origins, which is like a totally different genre.
Now, I will say the writing.
Let me see if I can think of the common denominator between those two sequels. I wonder if it has to do with some sort of evil corporation that acquired BioWare in that time period. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I feel like that might have some sort of relation.
I think the fine folks at Electronic Arts know what's best for you and I, Julian. They know way more than us, okay? And they know that this is a game that we will actually like. That other game, that shit's garbage, okay? This is the one you like.
It's all hail shit.
How's that your favorite series? And then you won't complain when we don't re-release them years later.
Yeah, I tried to replay Alice, the first Alice Madness game. Yeah, good luck with that one. You can't buy it anywhere.
Yeah, can't buy it? Really interesting. That's
well, you can. I played it other ways on my PC, but I couldn't. You can. I had a copy of it. I found.
For a company that loves money, they've been really resistant to re-releasing their classic library. It's really bizarre.
We had a conversation about Nintendo a couple weeks ago. They're the exact same way.
Yeah.
It's amazing how many video game companies in general just hate money. Like Atlas, like that makes Persona. They I feel like they're allergic to it sometimes. like everybody loves Persona 5. Oh, okay, not everybody, but a lot of people love Persona 5. It's a very popular anime franchise, and they're like, okay, we're gonna make Persona 5 Scramble, and then recently they were just like, nah, it's not coming to America. Fuck you guys. Like they're just, like, are you allergic to money? Like, do you hate everything? Like what? Then they're like, no, you guys can't stream our games. No, don't do it. Any of them. No, don't do it. It's like, do you realize that sells people who don't play the... Okay, that's a different conversation. But yeah, Konami hates money. They just hate it. They don't want any of it. Pachinko's the only money. That's apparently pachinko money is the only money that exists for Konami.
And gym money. Gym money.
Yes, you're right. Very true. That's the only money that exists. Video game money. That's imaginary.
So
stupid.
They put out Metal Gear Survive. That's a game that they did.
Yeah, that was probably to test the market. Like, let's see if people want to play Metal Gear. Everyone's like, we don't want to play that shit. That's for sure.
It's not Metal Gear.
Exactly.
It's on my list.
Then that way they can immediately go, well, people don't like Metal Gear anymore. What are you gonna do? Shrug our shoulders and move on.
I think it's very interesting about Mass Effect that I was thinking about is how after you finish the first mission, you get to choose 3 different worlds to go to, which you can kind of go in whatever order you want, which each give you a little bit more of the mission.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think you don't even have to go to one of those worlds. There's 100 other worlds you can go to.
But they don't have anything really, do they?
There are side quests in every. There is a explorable world in every single system in that game, and there's side quests tied to all of them. But again, you have to actually be talking to people and reading documents and stuff. Like there's a terminal in Udina's office that leads to one of my favorite side quests in the first game, which is that there's this rogue biotic who has like. He's basically created like a biotic cult, and he's bringing all these biotic humans to his flock. And I have always solved that quest without firing a single shot, and it's glorious.
It's
speechcraft.
Saved it? Nothing? Did you get busted to come rescue them? Because they were standing out in the cold? Nothing? Okay.
No.
I have no idea what this reference is you're talking about.
It's a joke, but it's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
You made someone out there very happy, I'm sure.
They got that joke. It's also a political joke, but it's okay.
Someone out there. Oh, okay, I've got it now. It's a recent political joke.
That's why I went right to it.
Yeah.
So if you were saying, like, okay, so that's cool. I didn't know there were that many side quests. I know when I played this game the first time, I did every side quest. I did everything because achievements. But this time I was rushing because of my life, and I kind of regret it because I really, like, when I got to the end of the game, I'm like, okay, I want to go play more, and I'm like, the game was just kind of done. I was sad.
Yeah, Ilos.
Yeah.
I missed some stuff this time because I was going a little bit faster than I normally do. There's one I did every quest that I found, but the one thing that I didn't do this time that I've always done in the past is that every planet that I would go to, I would scour the entire surface to find everything on it. And I didn't do that this time, and so that means that I missed one of my favorite little. It's not even a quest, but there's one planet where you find a Prothean pyramid, and if you interact with it, it gives you this huge wall of text, and it's basically the episode of Star Trek The Next Generation where Picard gets zapped by that probe, and he lives an entire lifetime.
Oh, yes! With the flute.
That happens to Shepard, and it's only through text, but I was like, that is the coolest thing, and it's always one of my favorite things to find. I didn't find it this time, and I was sad.
I don't think I found that either. I'm guessing it's like really hidden on something, but like I know I found a ton of those like Prothean pyramids on planets and shit like that. But I tended to just open up the map and go to points of interest a lot of the time.
That's what I did this time. Where in the past I would actually just like make a complete just go through everything to make sure that I found every bit of, that's how I would get all of the Solarian IDs and all of the Turian medals and all of the resources and stuff. And then also there's side quests that you'll find that way.
What do the resources even do? I picked up some, but I didn't really do anything with them.
They give you experience and money.
It's experience and money. That's how you like start to get like ridiculously rich in that game, is just by like scanning planets and getting whatever little monies. It's just like a little dumb side quest that you can do. I don't even know if I completed those. I completed most of the side quests that like actually involved fighting. I'm sure I missed a few. But like those ones especially, I was just like, if I do them, I do them. I don't really. I'm not really.
I regret not, because I had a list pulled up of what to do for Tali and Rex, like we were talking about earlier. I regret now that I didn't bother, because I wanted to play more.
Well, I did exactly 2 side quests in the entire game. One of them was just to get the specialization. The other one was unlocking the guy's wife's body, like right at the beginning of the game, the Citadel.
Oh yeah.
Oh man, like when you get to the Citadel, like I spend hours there just like doing everything that I can and talking to everybody, because like so this was the first like Western RPG that I ever played. I'm a console kid, so I was playing Final Fantasy and Chrono Trigger and like all that good stuff. So I remember very distinctly that I had started Final Fantasy 12 on the PlayStation 2 in 2006, and I got about halfway through it and I put it down. and then Mass Effect came out, and I played all the way through that, and then I went back to Final Fantasy 12, and I finished it, but I was like, in the 75 hours that I spent on Final Fantasy 12, I don't feel that I learned these characters nearly as well as the 40 hours that I spent on Mass Effect. And that was the change for me, where like for the entire 360 generation, I was like all in on Western RPGs, and I barely played any JRPGs that whole time because I was like, this is what I need, this is what I want, because so much of the flavor of the game is from talking to your characters. This might be the place where I get to proselytize about Ashley.
we mentioned a little about Ashley. We should go. Ashley, one of the first characters you get, who I made the joke earlier. Well, not really a joke. She is a xenophobe. It's not super noticeable in this game, but like when I first played it, I romanced her. I really liked her, and then it was later on when I realized, oh. But yeah, we should talk about Ashley.
Yeah, so she is generally considered to be the worst character in the game, and also like I will say that one of my issues this time that I realize is that the cast of Mass Effect 1 is not very strong compared to the next games, because like you have Tali and Garrus who are they're in the entire trilogy, but they're not written quite the way that you think of them in the first game. So they're a little bit boring in the first game. Liara is kind of the same way. She's fine, but she's not really developed. So Rex is really like the standout. And then you have Caden, who is the most boring person ever boring in the history of boring. And then you have Ashley. Now, the thing with Ashley is that, yes, like everybody's like, oh, she's space Republican, she's racist, blah, blah, blah. And I should preface this with saying that I have gone so far to the left this year that Bernie Sanders would not have been enough if he had been like the presidential candidate. Like he was too moderate for me. So
this year is special.
I need to make that clear. Yeah. I understand, but if you get to know Ashley and you really spend time talking to her, it makes complete sense why she is the way she is. Yes. It's not that she hates aliens, and it's not that she won't work with aliens or associate with them. It's the fact that she doesn't trust them. And the reason she doesn't trust them is because her father is the one who gave up the station of Shang-Chi at the very beginning, like the very first encounter with the Turians. So her entire family was blacklisted from the very beginning of humanity interacting with like galactic space. And so she's got a huge chip on her shoulder because of that. Now, you know, there's things where it's like, okay, she's obviously supposed to be like the renegade party member. Like she's supposed to be the one that agrees with all of your renegade choices. But again, there's reasons for that. And one thing that she makes very clear is that she doesn't hate aliens, and she's not, you know, like she actually stands up against the Terra Firma party, which is like the alt-right of like the alliance military or the alliance politics. If you bring her back to the Citadel and she's in your party, there's a little side quest with a member of the Terra Firma party who's running for council, and she straight up is like, no, you're a piece of shit, and you're preaching this like xenophobic shit that I like, that, you know, like humanity, you know, definitely needs to stand up for themselves, but you're doing it in the wrong way. And I love her character. I think she's got the most depth in the game. The only issue that I have is that they triple down on her shittiness in the second and third games, and there could have been this really amazing arc for her, because Liara has an amazing arc through the trilogy where she starts off as this like timid, mild-mannered like scientist, and then becomes a stone cold fucking badass by the end of the third game. And I would have liked to have seen Ashley go from like, oh, I really distrust aliens, to I would fucking die for Garrus by the end of it, but that doesn't happen. Anyway, that's my piece. Okay,
no, it's good though. We need to say something about. Oh, I do have a question because I've been googling stuff as we've been talking. So Cerberus is in this first game?
Yes, in side quests. Yes, and they do some dark, ill shit, and I don't like how okay Shepard is in the second game with working for them.
Well, it's interesting because like it's kind of like you're just like stuck working for them. Like you don't have a choice.
But unless there's a little bit of dialogue that lets you kind of buck that, but you can't really be like, oh, fuck you guys.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, which is a bummer. But like everybody that you meet, like I always like how they bring up the side quests. I wonder if you don't do the side quests, does that come up in 2? I can't ever remember.
Probably not.
I can tell you. When we do 2, I will let you know.
Okay, yeah.
How would you let us know you didn't do the side quests, Mike?
Exactly. That's how I'll know it doesn't come up.
Oh,
exactly.
Gotcha.
If it doesn't come up for him, then we'll know.
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of bummed that I didn't, because I kind of like, if I could right now, I'd go back and pick up my save, but I uninstalled the game too, so that's really an issue right now.
because it's one of like when you meet Tally in the second game, she's like actually one of the first characters you meet. I don't know if she mentions it right off the bat, but she's like, "Do you remember what they were doing back? Like they were with the Thorian and all that." Like she mentions specific stuff from these side quests.
Yeah,
like, do you remember that?
And then you're also, if you did her side quest in Mass Effect 1, you can say, hey, but remember when I helped you with your pilgrimage? Like, you kind of, like, can we work together here?
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, you're right.
Yeah, I won't be saying that to her.
Well, she asked you to, if you really are Shepard, prove you're really Shepard.
That's
and
right,
then, and then you go, yeah, hey, remember when I gave you this? Did the information that I gave you help you with your pilgrimage? And she goes, yes, it was. That is really you. Okay. Yeah. But we'll talk about that another time. But
yes, we will cover 2 for sure. I just don't know when, but it's coming. We haven't put it in the schedule yet.
But yeah, we were talking about all these characters, and I will say, like, I love I don't hate any of the characters in Mass Effect 1, but like
Kaidan.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, Kaidan's boring. They really tried hard to make me like him. They tried I think. Listen, okay, if you talk to him. Listen, if you talk to him, guys, listen, I'm not
I have.
I know, Julian. I know. Listen, I know. So you talk to him, and he's like, "Oh, I get headaches all the time." You can talk to the doctor, and she'll talk and be like, "Yeah, he got really screwed because he had the L2 implant, and those are really bad. They give you headaches all the time. He's lucky. He just gets migraines, which kind of like makes him like somewhat of a bitch. He just gets a migraine every now and then. Fuck you." Bitches about it the entire time. But his whole thing was he got trained by a Turian guy who was very mean to him. He was very mean, you guys. But I mean, now to be fair, he did have a love interest, and that Turian guy broke his love interest's arm, which is pretty mean. And then I think Kaidan kills him or something like that. I don't remember if he kills him or fucks him up real bad. I think he killed him. And he's like all regretful about that. And then he tries to come on to you if you're a girl. And I was like, nah, man. I actually like went into this playthrough straight up like I am gonna let Kaidan live when the time comes. I've never done it before. I'm gonna make sure that I choose Kaidan over Ashley because I've never went that route. Why not go that route? And when the time came, I went, I can't do it. I can't. Kaidan, you're dead. Like, go arm the nuke, and I'm gonna go this way.
My second time playing, I made a female renegade, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna romance Kaidan and try to get to really know him really well. And when the time came, I was like, you gotta die, Kaidan. And then she ended up hooking up with Liara at the end.
Yep. Oh, since we started talking about that, you can romance people in this game, and I because I was Googling it before, I forgot the controversy about this.
Oh, yeah.
When the game came out, you could see full nudity scenes. You can't, spoiler alert. But I remember that was the whole thing on here where you can have sex with aliens and they show everything. Like, you know, that's the worst thing in the world. It's okay if you blow people's heads off and cut them in half, but we don't want to see no dick. Nope.
It's so weird how video games, if you put even just a little bit of sexuality, and I'm asexual, I don't give a shit about any of it, but like it's so weird that if you put any nudity in a game, it's instantly like, we got to put an adults only rating on this. I mean, I get it because, you know, that's, I guess, porn. I don't know, but it's so weird. Like, yeah, it's like you said, you can saw people in half or whatever, and that's like, yeah, that's all right. You know, you're like literally, like, what is more traumatizing to see, a naked person or fucking somebody just being murdered in front of you? Like, it's weird.
and especially in this game, because it's a buttock and you get some side boob, and it's like, you like that side boob? That do anything for you? Well, it shouldn't, because it's a video game side boob.
I mean, before this, I had played a game called Exchange 2, so it did nothing. Someone get that joke out there, maybe.
Yeah,
why
Witcher
would
2
you
came
play
out, no one gave a shit.
I don't know why I played it back in high school.
I was thinking about X-Blade.
No, I have X-Blades, by the way. I actually own 3 copies of that. Does that count for anything? I never played it. But I own it on PS3, 360, I bought it on PC in a bundle. I do want to play it one day. But no, Exchange 2 is something that, yeah, it's a hentai game that somebody gave me for free once, and I played it, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. That's my random fact for the day.
I'm down with hentai. I got no problems with hentai.
It's an amusing game. I don't know why I played it, but it was amusing.
But anyway,
that's cool. Let's just get the conversation somewhere else, please. Help me.
I will get to the so we're talking about the romance scene basically, which was like basically girl on girl, which was very like a big deal at the time. That was like a controversy
in a game.
I think no.
I mean, Fear
well,
Effect
I mean,
2
I was just gonna say Fear Effect had the lesbian stuff.
I hate Fear Effect.
It's
Jade
not
Empire
it's not
had
great.
the starts of one. I don't think it amounts to anything.
Except Fear Effect 2, which I have not played, does have like a tentacle type cutscene in it for some reason.
That game's creepy and weird.
Yeah, we never played it. We looked it up. And we played Fear Effect for the show a long time ago for some reason, and I remember looking up like, oh, okay.
But this one, so I always like I don't know if there's a playthrough where I haven't romanced Liara. Like I think I always pick them. You can only pick from 3 people in the entire game. It's only Ashley, Caden, or Liara. Those are the options you get.
Well, and really, it's only 2. It's the human or the Asari.
Yeah,
because
exactly. Depending on what gender you are, basically. And I will say this. So I kind of hate the scene in Mass Effect 1. I know why they put it in there. They had to give people what they wanted, I guess, because people demanded that Liara take her clothes off or something. But I love so I actually really like the Asari idea of what a like intimate relationship is and what you're doing in it, because it's not like we're gonna fuck. It's not that, like, I mean, I guess it kind of is, but not really. It's more like a mental thing where it's just like, no, we're going to share everything with each other, and it's going to be super intense. Like, are you ready for this shit? And I'm like, that's a really interesting and cool thing. That's why I've always picked Liara, because I found her, like, I found that fascinating and way more interesting than just like, we're gonna fuck, because that's stupid.
It's also cool because she's never melded with anybody before, and she's very hesitant to do it, especially because well, I don't know if it's because you're a human, but I think it's just because she's so young and she doesn't know if she can handle it. And like, if you're playing, because obviously my character, he was very pro alien, so he would always talk to her with like the Paragon type stuff. And so when she's like, kind of getting ready, he's like, "Are you sure you want to do this? Like, we don't have to." And she's like, "No, I've made my decision. Like, we might not come back from this, and I want to, experience all of you before." We get to the end, and it's like, oh, that's really sweet.
Because she does like the mind melt thing, right? Because she's a Vulcan.
I mean, it's kind of.
I've been waiting for that joke for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, there's definitely a physical aspect to it. I mean, obviously, you see them writhing around in bed, but it's a lot deeper than that for Asari, which is a very interesting way of going about it.
Asari are really fucking interesting as a species, like, because I believe Liara tells you, but isn't she a pureblood Asari? Which are almost like frowned upon. So Asari in the universe, they're genderless. They basically, they don't have a gender. They all appear as female in the game, but they're all genderless, and their entire like thing is that they don't really mate with other Asari. Their whole thing is to mate with somebody else to help evolve their species. So like that's what like kind of gives these different ones different personalities. Like it doesn't go. They don't talk about it too much in this one, but like there's a lot of like interesting like stuff about purebloods and stuff like that in 2.
And like, they like Asari children will always look like an Asari, but they'll take personality traits from their other parent. And there's also, I don't remember if I was trying to find this in the codex this time, and maybe they flesh it out later on, but I want to say that what you are seeing as an Asari is not necessarily what they look like. That they kind of do a mental projection into any species to appeal to appear attractive to that species.
Yeah, that's
cool.
That's always been the impression that I've gotten from them.
So it's not that they're these like hot blue, like, like sexy women. That's just what we're seeing. But to a Krogan, they would look like a blue Krogan, and then to a Turian, they would look like a blue Turian.
Yeah.
Okay.
What are you trying to say, BioWare? Are you saying we're all into blue chicks?
I mean, it was green for Kirk. It worked for him, but
I mean, there are also green. There are also green Asari. There's a few of them.
There are.
This has got to be the most Star Trek references we've ever made on the show.
I mean, we're talking about Mass Effect. Like, it's heavily influenced by Star Trek.
Exactly.
I just realized I keep thinking about Star Trek.
Yeah, I mean, I again, like, it's such a wonderful love letter to all science fiction that, because you obviously the biotics they're using the Force, but then like a lot of the dialogue options is straight up like, oh, this is some Jean-Luc Picard shit. Like, I am totally like, diplomacying my way through this game. It's awesome.
Indeed.
It's not an actual word, but it works.
Are we still talking about characters?
We talked about. I think we covered. Well, we covered most of them by now, haven't we?
Can we talk about one? Because I know we didn't talk about it. Now, we said Garrus and Tally are in there. They're interesting. They're fine, but they're not really fully fleshed out in this one. They don't really get to be the characters that they are until 2. And it's glaringly apparent when you play 2. You're just like, oh wow, the personality's off the charts now. Okay, but gotta talk about Rex because Rex is fucking great.
Fuck yeah.
I think I used him once in this game when the game made me for a very small portion, maybe?
Oh, man. Rex is such a fucking awesome character. I love him so much. I just love his stories about just random bullshit stuff that he gets into. Like, I love the story about that he tells you about, because he's kind of like hesitant to open up to you at first, which is kind of nice, and you have to kind of like get to know him and all this stuff, and then eventually, you know, slowly over the course of time, like you're really building that relationship up. He starts going, all right, let me tell you this story about this thing I did, and we'll see how you react to it. And he's like, he basically tells you this one story where he's like, so I was working for this guy, and basically he wanted me to kill this Asari commando or whatever. I didn't know who they were, but then eventually I figured out who they were, and it turns out they're a really good friend of mine. So I just had a conversation with him, was like, hey, I gotta kill you. You want to duel to the death? And she was pretty cool with it. So we basically, I let her pick where we were gonna do it. So we just ended up on this space station. We just sat there for like 3 days just fighting each other and just taking all these mercenaries' guns and firing them off in this place. We ripped that station apart trying to kill each other. And then basically it ended with me blowing up the station with her inside of it. Funny story, I get back to the guy, and eventually she sends me a message saying, hey, nice try, better luck next time. And we both laughed about it. I never and I kept that job for a long time because the guy just thought that lady was going to come kill him again. So easiest money I ever made. And I was like, I love you, Rex. This is a great story.
Yeah. You know, I kind of regret that I didn't talk to people much in this game.
Yeah, you should regret it.
I've actually been sitting here debating to reinstall the game and replay it at my off game when I'm trying, because the next couple of games are kind of short and I'm already. Yeah, that might happen.
Especially with Rex, because like the more you talk to him, the more impactful it is when you get to Vermeer, when he does a stand up and he's like, "Help me out here, Shepard. I thought that we had had an understanding here, and now I don't understand why you're starting to sound like all the others." And it's like, oh, like it really starts to like twist the knife a little bit. It's like, oh no, I don't want to fuck things up with Rex, and you totally can. Like, so my second character, like I said, she was a renegade. But I specifically made her racist against Krogan. Like, she was sort of like Kirk with the Klingons. Like, she just hates Krogan. So she just like blew Rex away and didn't even like think about it. And then in Mass Effect 2, she never even activated Grunt because she was like, no, fuck that. He's a Krogan. I don't want him on my team.
Nice. That's crazy. Yeah, I love, like, in Mass Effect 2, it's awesome when you like meet him again. There's so much. See, and that's the thing. Playing this one makes the second one so much better. The series is great. It's just great. But Rex is awesome.
Mass Effect as a whole is one of my favorite video game properties. It's up there with Final Fantasy for me. And
you broke me. It's reinstalling. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. But yeah, Rex is great. I think that's it for characters for the most part.
Yeah, that's all.
Joker, I love Seth Green, and Joker, again, he's not as fully fleshed out in the first game, but I still, I just love talking to Seth Green. Like, I'm a big Can't Hardly Wait fan. I'm a big Buffy the Vampire Slayer fan, so it's like, hey, I'm talking to Oz.
I'm not a big Seth Green fan, but I still like him in this game. He's still fine. I mean, they do set up the whole, like, he has a bone disease or whatever, so that's why but he's, like, I love when you go to him and you're like, hey, what's going on? And he's like, they told you, didn't they? Oh, fuck. And he's just, like, gets super defensive right off the bat and just starts listing off his achievements. He's like, you want me doing this, trust me. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? And he's like, oh, they didn't, oh, sorry. Okay, well, I have this disease that makes all the bones in my leg hollow, so I can't walk very well. But I'm really good at flying this fucking shit. And it's like, okay, that's pretty cool. And yeah, they establish him more in other games, but yeah, I still like him here.
He also has a disease that makes him fuck robots, but that doesn't come about till 3.
That's later on down the line.
I don't think that's a disease. I think that's
a preference.
Oh yeah, that's a type.
We call that the Julian Titus preference.
Oh God, I have a story I want to share but I probably can't. but I will share off when we're done with off the air. Okay. Nothing to do with me. I'm going to put that right there, but it's a funny story I thought of, but I can't say it on the air.
Okay.
Yeah, all I'm saying is that when I finished playing Detroit Become Human, I really wanted a robot butler to fuck. That's all I'm saying. I know that wasn't the reasoning of the game, that you were supposed to actually feel something for him, but I just wanted a robot fuck butler. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so back to Mass Effect. I do want to say we kind of have been touching up on the different planets that you go to. And since you were talking about voice actors, it really remind me, you go to one planet, Novaria, which is an ice planet, and you go there, how can I brief through? You go through a couple different things that you're doing. One, you have these aliens that look like giant cockroaches that are the Rocknai that we have talked about off and on through this episode. That's why the Krogans went at war against them. They exterminated them, and the Krogans became sterile because they were making too many babies and fighting everyone else. Very dumbed down version. But in that planet, you fight Matriarch Beniza, which is the mother of Liera. Venezia? What did I say?
You've been butchering a lot of these pronunciations, and I'm
welcome to Game My Mom Phone.
Yes, have you listened to the show before?
Sometimes, but not all the time.
It's not. I want to say it's not on purpose, but I don't. I think I just don't give a shit.
I wouldn't have a problem with it if they didn't pronounce it all the time in the game. Like, if it's one thing if like you're.
What are you talking about? I can't. They don't talk. I hit spacebar and I just read it real fast and it goes away. There was no talking.
Oh my fucking god! You didn't even listen to the dialogue.
I did listen to her for one reason. Because it's Marina Sirtis. It's Deanna Troi.
Yeah.
I got so happy. I'm like, wait a second. I know that voice. And I listened to everything she said because she's just awesome.
And somehow, even in the virtual space, like Marina Sirtis still has to be crammed into a really tight-fitting boob dress.
Hey, I met her, by the way. I got to actually meet Miranda Sirtis at a convention a few years ago. I forget, it was one of my first conventions I went there. I only went there to meet her, and she's like, let me give you some counseling. Don't fuck this up. That was with my now wife at the time. We were engaged, and I just always remember that, and it always stuck with me. Nice. So I got to say, I got counseling from Deanna Troi. She's really cool, by the way.
I believe they're very cool.
Watch Star Trek Next Generation.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know who this weird sci-fi person is, you fucking nerds. I knew it was something like that. I knew it was something
like that. You know what Star Trek?
I don't watch
Justin doesn't watch television shows.
No, I really don't. This is a whole thing on our show, Nerds Without Pants, that you can listen to on places you find podcasts at. Yeah, it's a whole thing.
Okay, I don't blame you. I don't watch a lot of TV, but I watched all of Star Trek at one point in my life.
I think I watched the last sci-fi series that I watched, I'll put it like this, was Firefly. That was it. And that was a good one. It was a short one, and I actually appreciate it more because it was short. I think that's why I watched it in the first place. I was like, oh, it's only this many episodes, and the whole thing's done. Great. And then there's a movie, too, which I did watch the movie.
The movie's good.
It is good. Anyway.
That whole quest is interesting. Like, I saved... So, I guess I do want to ask. One, I killed her, of course, because I think you have to anyway.
Yeah, you can't so the big thing that you learn story-wise is that Saren is working for this Reaper ship called Sovereign, and you don't know what it is, but you know that there's something that Saren is doing that is making everybody like bend to his will. And when you fight Venezia, she basically says, I thought that I could fight his control and make him like turn him to a different path, but even I couldn't do it. And so she comes to her senses at the very end, but then she flips again and you have to kill her. Like there's no way around that.
Yeah.
It's when you first learn about indoctrination, which is the Reaper ability to basically insinuate themselves into your mind and slowly control you over time.
Okay. Another thing I want to say is, so I want to ask everybody, but I'll go with Mike first. So I saved the Rocknai. What about you, Mike?
I was playing Renegade.
Oh, okay.
So if I had an option to kill something, everything died.
Yeah, that makes sense. I saved them because that's the good guy thing to do. They seemed okay. They seemed very sorry about what happened. They didn't seem like they knew very much about what happened before. They were very confused and scared, and I sympathize with that. So we let them go. Council wasn't the happiest about it, but the council in this game. Can I just say? As a 34-year-old man playing this now, because I remember when I was like 20-something when this came out and playing it, I was like, man, I hate the council. What? They always disagree with me on everything I do. I can't do anything right for them. And playing it now, I'm like, oh, they're right about everything. Like, you're like not presenting any evidence to them ever. You're just like, just take my word for it that these weird space aliens exist and they're doing all this weird shit and creating space zombies. And like, do you have any evidence to support this? No, just take my word for it. I'm like, okay, that's not how things work. That's not how things work, sir. You're going to need to actually present something physical to show us, or a tape or something. Why? Apparently, cameras don't exist in Shepard's time where he could just like record. Why doesn't he have police even have the cameras?
Let's not get into police.
Let's not get into that. Yeah, exactly. But still, you know what I mean.
It's not wrong. Like, you think in this year, like 2200, like you think they would have been some kind of like, oh, we're just recording everything anyway.
Yeah.
Like, there's people out there like, I'd be one of them. I have thought about, not actually thought about it like far enough, but I wouldn't mind a bionic eye or something implant where everything's just being recorded at all times.
Sure, that sounds scary and black mirror. But why not? Actually, that might have been the last sci-fi thing that I watched. Entire thing, but it was pretty decent. But anyway, yeah, the console, I like them in this game. They're actually right most of the time.
Yeah,
and they're doing things good. But anyway, did you kill the Arachnite Queen, Julian?
Well, no. So I was playing a renegade, but again, a renegade who, was trying his best to help humanity take their stage or take their place on the stage of the galactic civilization and trying to be pro-alien. Now, I will say that I like taking the renegade option here and killing the last known Rachni makes complete sense because you can't when you hear, because all you hear about the Rachni Wars is it was just a mindless horde that descended upon the entire galaxy and caused untold destruction for hundreds of years. So when you find one and it's saying, hey, no, sorry, we weren't responsible for that, and we're actually we weren't there, it's having heard all that, you would understand if I'm sorry, I can't take your word for that, and I'm just going to go ahead and incinerate you right now, which I have done in the past on Renegade runs, but in this case I was doing, a different type of character. So the Rachni Queen survived this mission.
Okay. I like that how this game does give you options like that, and I know they kind of play a part later on in the series, sort of.
Yeah, this one comes back in 2, but in a way. I don't remember if it comes back later. I know it was supposed to play a bigger part than it actually does in the end of stuff, I believe.
Yeah, it sort of comes back in 3, but also it comes back in 3 even if you killed the Rachni Queen, which is really lame. There's a lot of things that happen in 3 that shouldn't happen, but they're like, well, we want you to see all this stuff, so it doesn't, 3 invalidates a lot of the stuff that you did in 2, and that's a issue that I have.
We'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
I plan to play all 4 of the series at some point on this show, just because. Okay, the other thing I do want to say, so we covered Novaria. The other planet that we've been talking off and on, so we should do a really quick thing about Pharos, which is the one with the Thorian plant, which is the planet we've been talking off and on, where you get to a point where you have people that are under the influence of Plant 42 from Resident Evil, and they're trying to kill you, and you're supposed to grenade. That's all I could think of when I saw the big fat plant. So you go to this planet, you fight a bunch of Geth, you fight a lot of fucking Geth, and you don't really know why Saren went here, you just know that Saren went here, and you find out that the whole reason is because there's this plant underground that the colonists hid because they're kind of under control, where this plant is indoctrinating you, which is the same thing that the Reapers do to all the people that are on Sovereign, which is 3 people.
And also, it's such an old creature that Saren thinks that he can use it to try to help decipher the Prothean, which I guess we didn't say. So that the big setup of this game is that in the first mission, both Shepard and Saren encounter this Prothean beacon, and it puts a bunch of information into their heads, but it's jumbled and they don't know exactly what it means. And so throughout most of the game, you're trying to figure out what it means. And so Liara helps you with that when you find her, because she has telekinetic or telepathic powers. And then eventually the Thorian helps you with a little bit, and then you're able to find the cipher, which gives you the final bit of the information.
Yes.
But also one thing that I love about the Pharos mission is that it's straight up capitalism gone wild, where it's the company Exogeny is no, we've got to protect the bottom line. These people are all expendable and blah, blah, blah. And it's just a really good bit of shitty, corporate bullshit.
I mean,
I really enjoy it.
Novaria is kind of like that too. Novaria, you have to break in.
Novaria is BioShock. It's we just have all these scientists with no regulations, and they can do whatever they want.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That is a great comparison. Yeah. So yeah, I ended up saving all the people from the plant man. He was very mean. He sends weird Asari clones after you. But the Asari,
I like the Asari clones for some reason.
They seem nice. They're green.
I like green. I like green. Whatever the hell that alien Asari. I like green Asari for some reason. I've realized.
I didn't know that about you until
now. I didn't either.
That's fine.
You're welcome. I blame Captain James T. Kirk.
But yeah, no, it's an interesting mission. I remember, like, it was funny because I couldn't remember what the mission was until I got to a certain guy where, like, you start talking to people in the colony when you first get there, and they start saying weird shit, like they're hiding something.
You should talk to Fidan. Fidan can answer that question for you.
Yeah, you go talk to him, and then you meet a guy in the tunnels who's just, like, completely lost his fucking mind, and you're like, you go back to Fidan, you're like, okay, for real, dude, what the fuck's going on? He's like, I don't know what you're talking about. That guy, we don't know anything about him. He seems a little weird. Thank God you saved him, though. It's a good thing you did. You're like, I remember being like, oh yeah, I remember this mission now.
I forgot this one completely.
Yeah. I played through this a couple times, at least, more than a couple. I can't remember exactly how many runs. I know when Mass Effect 2 was coming out, I tried to go back to it, and I think I might have got pretty far in that run before I quit. And then it's unknowable how many times I've completed Mass Effect 1 is basically what I'm trying to say. But a lot of this stuff came flooding back as I was playing it. And then after that, it's Veermeyer, right? Veermeyer's the last one.
You have a very small planet where you go find Liara, which is you running around a mine.
Oh yeah,
rescue her and you fight a bunch of Krogans.
Oh hey, that's a good spot to go on my rant. Okay, great. Here we go. So the planet where you go on, and now there are other Mako sections, but this is the one I remember the most because I hate it. So when you go to rescue Liara, it's basically a big Mako section, which is kind of just a rolling turret sequence. That's what those kind of are. That may be a little unfair to say, but that's what they remind me of. The Mako has kind of Halo controls. I don't hate how it actually handles it. I remember my memory of the Mako was different than actually going back to it. My memory was like, oh yeah, it controls like shit. And then when I started using it, I was like, it actually doesn't control that bad. My problem with the Mako is that where you aim the cursor is not where the gun actually fucking aims.
No.
So what they did, what they thought was a good idea was to go, we're going to make the Mako very realistic. So if your ship is tilting up and you aim the cannon, it will go with how it's tilted. So even if you aim down, you can't go down because there's no like elevation on the cannon, right? So sometimes if you are just tilted ever so slightly and you have a guy that's right there that you need to aim down at, you can't do it because it just shoots off in the distance. And I hate it. I hate it so much. I hate it. So this sequence isn't as bad. A lot of the ones that were like designed with the main campaign aren't too bad because they put you on flat ground a lot. The biggest problems that you have are like there's the side quest that we were talking about with Tally where you go do all the Geth bases. There was one specific Geth base where they put this hill strategically there to where like every time I had to get within range of it, I would either hit the hill, or I'd go closer, try to move around it, and then like it would tilt the cannon up, and all the while I'm being shot by a Geth Colossus and all these snipers that I can't hit because rockets apparently don't go through a fucking clearly clear thing. They're like explosions are just immune to this thing. Like it's the weirdest Geth technology I've ever seen. There's no glass in front of it. There's nothing blocking it. They can shoot out of it just fine, but I can't shoot a fucking rocket into it to save my life. No, this doesn't happen, and it's bullshit, and I hated it. I died so many times that I actually was like, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get out of the fucking Mako, and I'm gonna walk up there, and I'm gonna slowly fucking mosquito bite this Geth Colossus to death, and that worked better than actually using the Mako like you should. And I hate the Mako.
Well, you also get more experience if you kill enemies on foot than in the Mako.
Oh, I did not know that. That's an interesting fact.
I don't know either.
Yeah, that's cool. But yeah, now I will say that I like the Mako enough. I hate it, but all it needed was fixing. It just needed to like, all they needed to like do was like raise the turret up or something and just make it to where, hey, you can aim down now and it's fine. No big deal. And you can go off and explore these planets, because that is a really cool thing that they're doing. It's much better than, if people will remember, what the way to get materials and stuff in Mass Effect 2 was. And that is scan the planet minigame, where you hold the left trigger and you go over the planet very slowly. And oh, we got some platinum there. Oh, that's great. Oh, look at all this.
I know what you're talking about.
Don't go Irish again, Justin. You already did that on Nerds Without Pants.
I won't. Look at all this. Look at the readings here. Oh, they're off the charts. It's great. So much.
See, I remembered that, and I remember in this game, I was like, so when do I survey stuff? I remember, but I got my games confused.
No, you don't do that in this one. Thank God, because it's the most mindless, boring bullshit. Where launch the probe. Oh, look, the probe's on, and you just hear Edie Edie sounds like she's just degrading you the entire time you're doing it too. She's like, probe launched. Great, you're so good at what you do, Shepard. You're just the best. Okay, scanning planet.
Well, I actually like the Mako. I mean, I had a hard time with it at first because I was trying to figure out how to. I never played PC games until I started this podcast, so that was it was rough on me trying to drive with WASD.
I believe it.
It's not very friendly, but I got the hang of it all right. I didn't have any problems aiming like you were having. I shot. Okay,
so I will say this. Like I did say this during the main sequences with the Mako that they designed specifically for the main quest of the game. It's not too bad. They put you on flat ground.
It's on the random planets where, because my thing with the Mako, I have issues with the general control, but also the physics of the actual vehicle, because especially, I mean, it's cool that you can almost go up an entirely vertical hillside, but it's also it just feels very floaty. And one of my biggest problems is anytime that you encounter a thresher maw, you will almost always die if it comes up from underneath you, and it's extremely hard to dodge, because I don't know about you, but what I would do is I would stop and I would aim and then fire my cannon and then start to move as soon as it went underground. But the inertia of it starting to take off,
you can't stop it. Yeah, sometimes it would just come right up under you. I had to do Thresher Maw encounters a couple times usually. Not every one of them. There were some that I would just I'd ace it. But there was a few that I was welp, I guess I just got unlucky there because he just decided to spawn right underneath of me. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's the biggest problem with the Mako is not during the main sequences. I feel like they really were okay, these parts are a little frustrating. Let's make sure we smooth this map out and really, flesh it out and make it to where it's not too frustrating or bad for people to go through. It's on those random planets with the side missions where it gets really, really frustrating. There's just a little okay, so I gave that encounter. There's another one that drove me insane where there's all these Geth turrets and it's on the peak of a mountain, so you have to travel up the mountain and everything is firing down at you, and you're trying to get on into the middle of all these turrets and these armatures and all this shit that's shooting at you. You have to keep getting in the middle of it, and eventually I somehow cheesed it to where I would just take out the cannons and then run away like a coward. That was what I did a lot of times. Run away like a coward, fix the Mako, go all the way back around, take out another turret, run away like a coward, fix the Mako. It was just the most frustrating encounter. And then sometimes they would just land lucky shots on me because there was 3 armatures at the top of this fucking thing, and they would just gangbang you. It was bad. It was terrible. Oh, I hated it. But yeah, it's not so much in the main missions. It's not. I'll put it like this: people do have bad memories about the Mako. Those main missions, if you're just going through just a basic run of the game where you're just gonna I just want to play through the story and don't really exactly, and you don't care about the side stuff, that Mako stuff is not as bad as you remember probably, but it's when you get to the side stuff that you're okay, they didn't give a fuck about how this was laid out. They just put shit wherever they felt like putting it. And that's where it gets a little frustrating.
Okay,
that's my Mako rant. Thank you for your time.
I knew it was coming, so at least we got it out of there.
Yeah, indeed. But then you meet Liara, you get her out with a mining laser.
God, we were still there?
Yeah, we were. That was. I decided to put my Mako rant there.
That works. There's not too much I'll say about that planet. I don't even remember what the fuck planet it was.
It's really just getting Liara.
It's really getting Liara. That's it.
Yeah, I'm gonna replay this game. That's where I'm going first.
Yeah, you should. Like, that's really the first place that you should go. And then after that, it's wherever you want to, go to next, Pharos or Novaria. I will say, so Vermeer, like, that's where you meet Captain Kirahi of the Stellarian Special Forces. And one thing that I love about Mass Effect as a franchise is the really awesome, like, military speeches. Like, as Shepard, you're able to give a couple where you can actually pick what you say. But I love the hold the line speech. It is one of my favorite things in video games.
So good. It's so good. But they held the line. And I was like, oh, this guy's great. It even comes up, and they knew it was great too. It even comes back up in 2 because Morden's like, oh yeah, I used to work for that guy. I always thought his speeches were a bit overdramatic, that whole hold the line thing. But I was like, Morden's great. But yeah, that's love another Captain game. But yeah, he's great. He's great. I love this. I do like this mission a lot.
It's a good mission.
It is the best looking part of the whole game. Like, Vermeer is gorgeous. It is like a whole like step above every other environment in Mass Effect 1.
This is also where you come up with a couple different like big conflicts happening. Where one, you have Saren is trying to unfix the Krogan, so that's why they're fighting with him. You got to make that decision. Like, okay, are you gonna let this happen? Or I mean, I guess you don't have a choice. You have to stop it, right?
Well, he's breeding Krogan. He's like he found a way to make his own Krogan army that works for him for the most part.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Okay, so technically what he's doing is not good for them.
No,
right. So technically, he's able to make more Krogan, which is, so that would help the Krogan.
Yes.
Rex thinks that would help the Krogan, but then you realize that they're not full Krogan. They're like these brainwashed like husks of Krogan. Not to be confused with like the Geth husks, but they're basically that. They're mindless drones. And so there is a part, and as I said, like, if you're playing it on anything above easy, like it's a very difficult conversation with Rex where if you haven't put all of your points into either Charm or Intimidate, Rex dies because you get into a standoff with him, and there's no other way to resolve it than shooting him. But if you have put in your points enough points into those conversation things, you can talk him down. But he's very upset about the whole thing with good reason. Like, he sees this glimmer of hope, but you have to tell him like, no, this isn't actually what you want. This is not going to help your people. And actually, Saren is a real big dick for doing this, and we need to put him down.
Yeah. Yeah, I love just the pacing of this entire thing. Like after the whole Rex thing, and there's a big Mako section before this too. But like when you're storming the base, and like you have to split one of the human members up with you. Like, so you send either Ashley or Caden to go help with the front line or whatever, and then you have one of them, I don't know, somewhere.
One comes with you, which plays later.
Yeah, exactly, and I love how you're going around and you're helping them, like, okay, I gotta disable this thing so that they can get through this point, and you're hearing everything happening over the radio. I really like this part. It's really cool. And then you get to the base, you learn about this is where the big revelations happen, because you see the little Krogan thing. You basically learn about everything that Saren's up to, and how he's you get to talk to Sovereign, basically.
Yeah, that is the huge part of this mission. Yes. is that this is where you discover that the ship that Saren used to attack Eden Prime is actually this thing called Sovereign that is a Reaper. Well, they don't call themselves that, but it's like basically what the Protheans called them. Yeah. And they are this like advanced, like synthetic race again, we're talking about like love letters to sci-fi. The Reaper story is the Matrix. Like basically the Reapers allow like organics to evolve to a certain point, and then the Reapers come in and harvest all of them and then go back into dark space and let it happen again. And that's sort of like the Matrix, where, that's the whole thing, is that the machines let humans get to a certain point and then they kill them all and then they let it happen again. And it's just this endless cycle. Yep. And like, I thought that was really cool. It's like, and they're so unknowable. It's almost like a little bit of Lovecraft thrown into this science fiction opera. Like, I really... Like, even the design of the Reapers is like very Cthulhu-ish.
They have the tentacles and stuff, and it is very Cthulhu looking. Yeah, they're cool, man. They're a cool bad guy for the entire thing. Like, because they're just larger than life. They've been around for however long, and they don't give a fuck about
millions of years or something. I think it's kind of.
Oh. Yeah, because it's a thing where like the whole like the 50,000 years since the Protheans were exterminated, like that's just like a nap to the Reapers. There's like, oh yeah, we just kind of like chilled out for a little bit. And now I think the thing with Sovereign is that he stayed behind, right? Like he's kind of the one to monitor the whole situation.
If I remember correctly, his whole deal is he stayed behind, is monitoring the situation, and he's going to open the door once society gets to a certain point.
Yes,
so that is now.
And that's what you learn here. Yeah. You're like, they're gonna come and fuck shit up. It's not good. And so you fight Saren. Because he shows up on his little green goblin bullshit.
You're not wrong. I mean, that is kind of what it looks like.
It is exactly Green Goblin. He shows up, he's like throwing his little bombs at you and shit. He's a little Green Goblin. He's like, I really like Spider-Man, you guys. I'm a big nerd. That's fine.
I like Spider-Man too.
I know, I do too. He's cool.
I like this part. Like, I like this fight. I like how, because I couldn't remember exactly what happened. I knew somebody wasn't coming out of this alive because I beat this game before.
Yeah.
Years ago. And so I was like, Kaiden is done. He ain't coming out of this game. So I sent him off with the Solarians. I'm looking up like, okay, how do I save? Like, what's going to happen here? And then it comes to a point when you finally find out he set this nuke on this planet. You have to activate the nuke, or I think it, right? Or do you bring the?
You're trying to bomb the facility that's creating the Krogans, because that is going to be bad for everybody.
Yes,
including the Krogans.
And I like this, and then so I was like, okay, so Ashley starts deactivating the nuke. I'm like, oh no, you can't die, Ashley. You gotta stay. Like, I need you. So I don't know why, but so you get to a point where she stayed behind with the nuke for me. I went to go rescue Kaiden, and then as you're doing this, you get after the Green Goblin fight, you do get a call that says, hey, that's when you choose who you're going to save. And then of course I went straight back to Ashley and like, fuck you, Kaiden.
I was gonna say, did anybody save Kaiden? Okay, awesome. Thank God.
I don't know if I have ever saved Kaiden. I just can't bring myself to do it. He sucks so hard.
Like I said earlier in this podcast, I specifically went into the playthrough like, I am going to save Kaiden when this moment happens, and I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. He's just the most boring guy. Sorry.
It's like Lord of the Rings. It's like, Isildur, throw the ring into the fire. And I'm like, no.
Well, I actually had made a post in a Mass Effect group. I did a poll. I forgot to mention the podcast, unfortunately. So if you're listening to this, I hope you liked it. But I actually can't find the poll anymore because they sent me a notification today and said, "Oh, we closed down your poll." It's nothing you did, but it became an issue. So I apparently got people so upset about Ashley and Kaiden that they had to start a fight on Facebook and close down my damn poll. I'm going to post the link to the podcast and like, hey, maybe somebody will see it. No, but we had, I think, over 600 people voted, and it was mostly all Ashley.
Yeah,
I mean,
nice.
like 30%, I think, or something. And then people started putting other things in there. I killed both of them and all that dumb shit like that. But yeah, it unfortunately shut down my polls. I can't give you the answers how many people voted. I was looking for it right now, but
I mean, the kill both of them thing is kind of funny because I actually kind of get it because I love Mass Effect, I love the writing, but in every single game, the humans are the most boring characters.
They are.
With maybe the exception of Jack in 2. I do like her.
Yeah.
She's good and she's human.
And like I said, I do think that Ashley has the strongest backstory in the first game, but that's not to say that she's still not a boring character in comparison to the alien characters. Like,
oh, exactly.
BioWare's like, we'll just make her hot in the third game and everyone will be okay with it.
Yeah, that's.
I hate her. The way that they glammed her up in the third game, I was like, the thing, like, so I'm a big Final Fantasy nerd, and I remember when Final Fantasy 13 Lightning Returns came out, and people were getting really angry because they had like increased the bust size of Lightning's chest, and I was like. I actually got quoted in an article around this time because I was like, none of y'all complained when Mass Effect 2 came out, and all of a sudden Ashley and Liara went from like an A cup to a D cup. Like, it makes no sense. Like, that's one thing I love about Mass Effect 1 is that the women are actually very moderately designed. They look, more natural, and then you get to Mass Effect 2 and it's just boobs for days.
I wonder if that's EA. I wonder if that's EA again. There's someone from EA's like, bigger. It's bigger.
It was just like that time period. That time period just demanded you have sex appeal in your games. Like,
let's have a character that only wears suspenders over her nipples. That's a good design.
That's Jack, isn't it? You're talking about, right?
Yeah, Jack.
Okay. Jack. It's been a while.
Character. But like it's funny because Jack, I don't even like view that. So she's interesting because like for a lot of reasons. We'll get there when we get to Mass Effect 2.
Yes.
That's a later conversation. But like Miranda in 2 is just like that's the first like one of the first characters you meet, and you're like, Jesus, like okay, this is a different kind of game we're playing here. Like it's just right off the rip.
Mike Hughes just posted a picture of Ashley from each of the 3 games, and it's like you can watch water balloons like filling up slowly over time. Like it's insane.
Yep.
I'm googling Miranda too now. I see what you mean. It's been a while since I played this game.
Oh yeah. Miranda is like she is one of the first characters you meet, and it is immediate. Now she has like a kind of interesting backstory as to why she looks a certain way. Well, that's another time again.
Yeah.
And look, I don't have a problem with sex appeal in like with characters and stuff like that in their design. Yeah. It's just specifically that like you had this character look a specific way, and then you decided to give her like the Barbie doll look by the 3rd game, and it's like that doesn't whatever.
Yeah. That's
it makes sense. Like why change something when you don't really need to, only for one reason? But again, I think what Mike said, EA.
Yeah, EA, and like I said, just that time period. Like that's how you sold games, or at least that's how a lot of companies thought you sold games, which is like put the gotta have the character with not a lot of clothes and the big boobs or something. Just gotta do it. And then eventually we as a society were like, that's kind of stupid. But anyway, after Veermeyer, then let's see, when we go to Ilos?
No, we go to the Citadel after
because
and they lock you down.
Yeah, because you try to tell the council about the Reapers and no one believes you for obvious reasons. Like it's this unbelievable story.
That's right. And they shut your ship down.
Yeah.
They're like, you're grounded. You can't go anywhere. You're like, screw you, council. I'm going to do what I want. That's
your admiral, buddy. Keith David helps you out. He pulls a man at work and he goes and beats the shit out of the ambassador for you.
He does punch Ambassador Udina, which is
if that's what you choose. Like you get to decide what you want Anderson to do, because what I had him do is I actually had him go into the C-Sec security and do it there, and he ends up getting shot.
Really?
Yeah. Because he's trying to hack into the locking mechanism for the Normandy, and C-Sec like holds him up, and he keeps doing his thing, and they shoot him, and he falls, and then it hits like the last thing, and the Normandy gets to go away, or gets away from the Citadel. But I really love this part where you get to do a Star Trek insurrection, which is yet another Star Trek reference.
Does that kill Anderson for future games if you do that?
No. He's injured, but all right.
I wondered about that.
You picked one of the worst Star Trek movies, or the least known Star Trek movie to reference just now, too.
Oh, I know, but it's just it's again a very it felt like a very Star Trek-y thing where it's like, like the Federation isn't letting us do the thing, so let's go do the thing.
Yeah, basically.
You're not wrong. That movie is just such like I've seen it once and I barely vaguely remember it, so I was like, oh, okay, that's all.
But then now so all that happens.
That's when you go to Elos. This is where you find out the beacon. Is that what they're calling? Is it the beacon they're looking for this whole time, or the? This is
where you're trying to get the cipher.
Yes.
In order to understand what you learned from the beacon. And then it is worth saying that, so before you get locked down at the Citadel, if you've been romancing one of the characters, then this is where you get your first like little bit where like they almost kiss and then Joker interrupts you. But then when you're on the way to Ilos, that's where like, they're like, hey, we might not make it out of this alive. Like, do you want to do this or not? And that's when you can decide if you want to, finalize your relationship with your paramour, which,
I'm replaying this game after tonight. Because I really regret, like, the more we're talking, the more it's making me regret the fact that I didn't do more in this game. Like, really bad.
Yeah.
Well, given the nature of the show, it's not really an option sometimes.
I had time. I mean, I just beat Arkham Asylum already. Like, I had time. I just didn't want to keep. I didn't really get into the game till near the end. That's when the game really grabbed me, and like when you go to once you leave the Citadel, I knew that was a point of no return. But you can still go around the other planets. I didn't give a shit about the Citadel. I wasn't doing any of those stupid side quests anyway. And that's when and then I went to Elos. I'm like, okay, I know there's one last area, so now I'm going to go do more. And I'm like, no, you're not, because you go to Elos to track down Saren. He's doing something bad. When he locks the door,
because Saren also wants to get the cipher so he can understand the information that he has in his head. And, Ilos is like one of the Prothean worlds. And so it's all Prothean ruins and everything. And you do end up finding a VI, which is like, it's like a artificial not artificial intelligence, but it's like Siri. Right? It's like a really advanced version of Siri. And basically you learn, this was a scientific facility where during the destruction of the Reapers, like these Protheans were trying to like hold themselves and try to like protect their society, and eventually like
bad things happened.
Whoa.
What happened? You all right there, kid?
Yeah, my computer just sorry. Okay. Sorry.
Okay.
I guess I wasn't touching anything for a while, and it went.
The guest took over there.
The guest hacked into my system.
Direct control.
Yes.
Also, Tony's like, I agree with the Republican. It is a good idea to be one of them. Please join me. Like, you were sorry.
Yeah. So this Prothean VI basically like it had to start shutting down these like hibernation pods over time, because we're talking 50,000 years, and so eventually the stuff just started to fail, and so almost all of the Prothean pods at this point are inert, and basically so they're able to give Shepard the last bit of information, and that's when you find out that's when you get the whole picture that the Protheans were destroyed by the Reapers, and it also tells you that you learn the secret of the Citadel. That's the really big thing, is that the Citadel was created by the Reapers, and inside the Citadel is actually a mass relay drive, and what Saren is going to do is he's going to take a relay from Ilos directly into the heart of the Citadel to bring all of his Geth troops in and slip under security and take over the Citadel. And that's when you realize, oh shit, we gotta stop him. And so then you have this like really tense, like, mad dash drive in the Mako, like to get to this to get to this mass relay drive. And then we didn't say it, but the thing I love about the mass relays is it's basically like shotgunning you through space.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
You go into it and it kind of converts you into energy, and then it just like shoots you, like a rail gun almost. And so and I didn't realize this, but I guess apparently you don't need a ship to do this. Like because this is a smaller mass relay, but you just go in the Mako, and then the Mako just like flies through the Presidium in the Citadel, and it's a really cool moment.
Yeah. Okay, I wasn't the only one that kind of like, I do another thing that I thought was interesting. So when you first get to Elos, your Mako drops you off. Saren's wandering with his army towards the thing, and even though you take all that time to kill all these troops, to get the gate open, to drive your Mako down this long hallway, you barely make it just a few minutes after he got there. I was like, he was walking really slow.
I think, it looks like he's been there a while, because the Geth and the Krogan are pretty well entrenched by the time you.
Yeah, you're probably right then.
Yeah, you're having to fight a shit ton of Geth, and it's really cool when you get back to the Citadel, because there's a part where you're actually like on the side of it, because I love the construction of the Citadel and the way that like gravity works, and again, one thing that the Mass Effect series doesn't do a good job of is establishing the scope of things, because the Citadel is massive, and you never really get the sense of how huge it actually is. But there's I think 40 million people living on the Citadel, and every single one of those spokes is just like a massive city. So it's a really cool structure to be on, and I one of these days I hope that we get to explore like a big chunk of it instead of just a couple districts.
Yeah, I don't think we're getting that anytime soon.
Yeah,
it'd be nice.
After Andromeda, I don't think their EA went, nah, we're good. We're not going to mess with this franchise anymore for a while.
Andromeda does. I don't know what that game is. That's a game. What is that? I never heard of that one. No, shut up.
We'll get there someday, because I do really want to play it.
No, we won't.
I will get there someday. You don't have to join me, but me and Mike will go there.
You guys go nuts.
It's sort of like how there's only 4 numbered Metal Gear Solid games. It's kind of that situation.
Never played.
There's only 3. There's only.
What are you talking about? There's only 4 Metal Gear Solids, Mike.
Yeah.
I really do want to someday play the other game with not boss in it. Someday maybe. I also really want to play Metal Gear Survive, and I was watching videos as we've been talking.
No, you don't.
No, you really
no. You really don't want to do that. So why would you do that?
It's because if I say we're going to play it, he knows what that means, and he doesn't like that idea.
No, I played some of it when it was on Game Pass. It's not good.
You're an odd duck, Mike Albert, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna skip all of the important parts of Mass Effect, but I really want to play X-Blades and Metal Gear Survive. I can't wait to do that shit.
Can't wait to do it.
I love the gameplay in this game. I didn't really care about the talking or reading for some reason, but I just loved shooting things, which is not me. Like I'm a big RPG gamer. Well, I used to be. I love stuff like that. For some reason, this game, all I want to do is shoot things.
Yeah, that is weird, but like, I mean, it's funny because like even doing everything in the game, I clocked it in at like 35 hours, which compared to like a lot of other RPGs, that's really not that bad. Like, I mean, you compare it to like almost anything nowadays. Like Witcher 3 is like, that's a Western RPG. That's like fucking 100-something hours, and that's like if you're cutting out a lot of the side content. And like this one is just like, it's just this real straightforward thing. Like, I mean, it's probably
Dragon Age Origins took me like 80 hours the first time that I played it.
Brief. Since you mentioned it, and I do want to do a little brief rant. When I played Dragon Age Origins the last time, I actually did create a character. I named her Elaine, and she was a mage. Her last name might have been Tarkanard or Tarkanad, but that's neither here nor there. But I did that the one time I made a character and actually tried to I cared, but I love Elaine. Elaine is great.
There's not a default option. Well, I guess there's
is, but back then it was before I had a podcast, and I actually did try to do a little bit. And my first character was just me, looked like really a guy with long hair, and he wasn't cool. And then I decided to actually make someone I liked, and I made Elaine from Wheel of Time series.
Nice. I almost always when I'm creating characters for RPGs, I almost always name them after book characters from different fantasy series and stuff like that. Like my Final Fantasy XI character was named Random, and that's one of the princes from Roger Zelazny's Chronicles of Amber series, and I just always loved that name. I think it's a really cool name to have because he was like a gambler and his name is Random, and I was like, that's really awesome.
I name characters weird. If I don't make Roxanne, which is just usually that, I mean that's what I made this time.
Default. Yeah.
That's my default is every time. And even this time I was like, Roxanne Shepard, that's who it is, and we go with that. But if I don't make that character, when I make Elder Scrolls characters, I'm really weird and I start going way too deep. Like I look up Elder Scrolls names generators and shit. Like, let me get a feel for just how their names go, and then I'll make my own up. And I'm like sitting there like,
what about Tyrone Swift? That's the whole podcast with you where you talk about Tyrone Swift.
That's sports game.
Oh, okay.
Anything athletic. And
I made that Taylor Swift joke a year ago.
Some like if it's a more like modern day setting, I make him a lot, but he's evolved as a character to the point where now he's this old grizzled vet at all times. Like if I can't remember what the last sports game I played was, but I remember I made him the UFC? Old coach. Yeah, I didn't make him in that. I never got around to it because I think I made his daughter in that game. I've passed it down to where he has a daughter now. Like I've just because like Tyrone Swift, he's old, he's grizzled, but he's passed all his talent down to the next generation. He's and now he's like the coach of teams and stuff like that. But anyway,
So I do like when after you go and you do the whole thing with the relay and you do go through the Mako. Like I enjoy how you go to the Citadel, you're fighting Saren in the Geth, like we were talking about earlier, where you can actually talk Saren into shooting himself in the face, where you realize that he's
also you glance right over this, but the Mako is destroyed. Fucking thank God. I celebrated. I was like, thank God. It deserved it.
You really hated that Mako, man.
I did. It gave him a chance to make it again and make it better this time and make it actually work like it should and make the cursor.
I had no problem with it other than I couldn't use my Xbox controller.
Yeah, I mean, again, you didn't go to the planets with the hills. That's where it gets problematic.
That's where it gets really wonky.
I did fight one Thresher Maw by accident because I was trying to find Lier, and I ended up on a planet with a random distress signal, and I killed a Thresher Maw.
Yeah. I think I did that exact same thing the very first time I played that game. I will know. I almost know. Was it a sand planet by chance?
I don't. I just remember a Thresher Maw. I remember it went by quick, and then I left and never came back.
But it's like almost like right as soon as you start driving, right?
Yeah, the stress signal thing isn't very far. You find a crashed Mako, and then
yeah. I'm pretty sure it's the exact planet because I remember doing that and be like, holy shit, what is this?
I think that's actually the start of a series of quests because I think that's where Admiral Kohoku's men are. And then you find out that like Cerberus actually led them there And because I think that's it, because there's a...
It might be. I'm not 100% sure on that. I know there's... Yeah, you might be right.
Yeah.
Because
there's a few quests that involve Admiral Kohoku, and then eventually you find that he was killed by Cerberus in one of their hot labs.
Yes. You go and tell him all that stuff, and then that leads to the Cerberus stuff.
Yeah.
Admiral Kohoku's in like the council chamber place where you go up to that elevator or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, and I also just want to give one quick shout out, voice acting wise, to Admiral Hackett, who's played by the guy who is Bishop in the Alien movies, because he's just got such a great gravelly voice, and when he interrupts you and like tells you about a mission, he's like, Shepard, we've got this thing that we need you to do, and blah blah blah. Hack it out.
He sounds like he just woke up and had a pack of cigarettes right as he woke up. And it's great. I love it. It's like he's just like, he sounds so over it all the time. He's like, Shepard, I'm just gonna fucking level with you. I don't really care what you do in the galaxy right now. But if you're over here, would you mind looking up this thing, because they're on my fucking ass about it, dude. I mean, I don't know what to do anymore. I tell them all the fucking time.
Even great. His praise is the same even keel. He's like, good work. Hack it out.
I do want to ask, like, Mike, did you get Saren, whatever fuck his name is, to shoot himself too?
No, I actually fought him.
Oh shit!
Wow.
What is it like? I have never seen that part of it. Is he still on the Green Goblin skiff?
It's exactly like the fight on Vermeer.
Okay, interesting.
Okay, I'm glad I missed it then. Now, I mean, I missed a lot of this game, so I'm bummed out. I'm not bummed out missing a second Green Goblin fight.
Oh, and we should say that, like, while we are inside the Citadel, on the outside, Saren's entire Geth fleet, along with Sovereign, has come into Citadel space, and it's like a full-on war. And you have like the Citadel ships, and you have Alliance ships, and like everybody is trying to fight against Sovereign and against the Geth army. Yes. And there's a big choice that you can make here, where you can the council is on their ship called the Destiny Ascension. It's like the biggest flagship in the fleet, and you can make the decision to help them or let them just get destroyed. And that's like a big renegade thing. And you can say at the end of the game, it's like, oh well, I thought that if the council was destroyed, that it would make humanity like have a better position in Citadel space, that's probably the most evil thing that you can do in the game. That
is really evil, especially because like the Destiny Ascension is a huge ship with a ton of people on it and stuff.
Yes.
And also that's a great ship name. It's a great fucking ship name.
Yes.
I saved them.
Yeah, I saved the console because they're right.
Too.
They're right about everything.
So what about you, Mike?
That's weird. I never got a call from the Destiny Ascension. It's like no one could find those logs. Like, I don't know what happened.
Nice.
But I did suggest that Udina should be the member of the humans to go under the council, because that was my renegade part. Even because I mean, I was playing renegade, but still for the council. But Udina is just like, he's the renegade choice. He's a total dick.
Yeah, I did not recommend him.
Yeah.
What's funny, he's definitely like a politician. There are times where I'm like, you are kind of making his job hard. Like, he's not wrong. But at the same time, he just bitches about it all the time. So he kind of he's also an asshole. Yeah, he is. He's meant to be that. Like, I actually enjoyed his I don't know who their voice actor is, but I enjoyed them. It's a good voice actor. It's a good voice actor. They're just so every time they'd say shit, I would just laugh. Like, it was so fun. Because they're so
send in your fleet, destroy them.
They're so over dramatic, and it's great. Oh, I love it. But yeah, no, I saved the guy. I think you have to fight Saren again.
Robotic Saren.
Even if you talk him down in the fight, he shoots himself. He comes back to life because it's Sovereign. Sovereign like indoctrinates him or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's Sovereign control along with all of those Geth parts that he has inside him. Yes. He no longer looks completely Turian. He's like kind of like almost like being held together by like an energy field, and he's very elongated, and like part of his like flesh has been burned off. It's a very interesting design for him, and he's kind of hard to fight only because he moves as fast as the Geth sappers and ghosts.
Yes.
So it's a little bit difficult to keep him in your line of sight. That's really the only thing. It's not hard to shoot him, or it's not hard to beat him. It's just hard to actually get a bead on him in order to take down his health.
Yeah, it's not the worst fight in the world, but like, yeah, it's 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 somewhat challenging, I guess. I never fought it on like a higher difficulty than normal, so I don't know. I mean, to me, this was like super easy. We fucking wrecked this dude. He didn't fucking stand a chance. But
plus, if you do a lot of side quests, though, you probably were in a very good state of mind.
Oh yeah, we had, like I said, my crew was rolling deep. We had all the Spectre Master gear. We had all the we were running black and red. Wolfpack for life.
Singularity, overload, sabotage.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, just all.
No problem.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. But then you get to choose who, if you want Udina or what's his name, Anderson David. On the council. Yeah, and I picked Keith David because even though I like how he's just like, I really don't want to do this. I love how he's just like, I really don't want to. Can I not? And then he's like, I guess. I mean, if you really are serious about it, I guess I'll do it. But
someone's upset in the background.
That's my dog. She is very pissed off. She this is what happens, and I guarantee
she's like, you should have chosen Udina.
Yeah, she would have, dude. She would choose Udina. She's a fucking dick like that. She's probably barking at her own reflection. I'm not even joking about that. She's very dumb. But those are my dogs. I love them. Sometimes more than others.
All right, so I like how, and then also depending on if you don't call the Normandy back after you beat or during that fight with Saren, because the whole reason why you can have them wait is that they're fully strong because of the Reapers inside the Citadel. The Citadel has closed because they closed it, and they're trying to stop him because the one Reaper Sovereign is trying to activate the mass relay to bring all the fucking Reapers back and kill everyone.
Right.
And that is the one cool ass fight where it takes the entire fleet to stop this one Reaper, and they barely stop him.
Indeed. And it is really cool once you get the override code to open the Citadel back up, and then just the whole fleet descends on Sovereign and blows the shit out of it. But they still don't believe you afterwards, which is super frustrating.
Yeah, it is weird. They're like, we see this happen, and we're still like, I don't know. I mean, this Reaper thing, I mean, Sovereign was bad. Yeah, that was bad.
Yeah, but we killed it, so we're fine.
It's fine.
You know what? I can believe that. After everything we went in 2020, where people believe COVID is fake, and people believe it's a hoax, and people made it up, I can believe now they wouldn't believe the giant alien they killed. They'd be like, yeah, we did it. We killed it. We're good to go.
Yeah, I guess I could see that. And then, I mean, it does get humanity on the council. I mean, you get humanity on the council. Maybe it'd be like, okay, yeah, you stopped it. You were a big help with that. But, like, we don't know if this is, like, an ongoing thing. You're going to have to provide more proof, which,
Yeah, no, I can believe it. Because I had people tell me that COVID was fake and stuff. So I believe it.
Yeah, ask Sturgis about how that turned out. Yeah. That's what they did. They had an interview before Sturgis Bike Rally. It was like, yeah, we think this is a liberal conspiracy. It's not a big deal. Then what was the next big super spreader of the COVID-19 virus? The Sturgis Bike Rally. Who'd have thunk it?
I always say now. I can't believe people do this in a video game or science fiction. Well, you look at 2020 America, COVID. There's your answer. Like, oh, okay, yeah. I understand now.
I totally forgot about the Sturgis Bike Rally because, like, in Austin, you always know when summer is coming because all of a sudden you start seeing all the bikers coming through Austin because we have the Rot Rally, and then that's right before Sturgis. Yeah. But I've been in my apartment almost entirely for the entire year, so I never saw any, like, motorcyclists. So I was like, I completely forgot about the whole Sturgis and Rot Rally stuff. I didn't even realize that it happened.
Oh, yeah, it still happened. Chris Jericho played a concert there because he's weird.
I forgot he's a singer now.
He tries to be a singer. He really tries.
All right. Any last things we should say? So I know some of these decisions actually do play a part in Mass Effect 2 and 3, and that's one thing kind of cool about this game. That depending on what that's why I'm going to go back and replay this.
Yeah.
Depending on what you do, it does play a part. I think a little bit later on in the series.
Yeah. There's even like there's a lot of decisions like so when you start Mass Effect 2, if you're doing a fresh save, you can pick like a handful of decisions to inform your game. But if you import a save from Mass Effect 1, there's a ton more little things that you've done throughout the game that carry over into the next game. Okay. It was really a cool thing that had never been done before and really hasn't been done since. And it's one of my favorite things about this trilogy is how much you get to tailor your Shepard, because that's really the thing is that, like, you feel such an ownership over the Shepard that you create, or in Mike's case, but even so, like even that default character, you shape who they are throughout the course of the trilogy, and that's what makes the game so special.
It has to carry over super important decisions like whether you punch out the reporter or not.
That's right.
I didn't punch her out, of course. I did find her though. I did have to say, I have to go now, or whatever the hell he says all the time. I should go. I should go.
Yeah, I think that reporter, I think both reporters come back. There's 2 reporters in the game. There's one that sends you on a side quest, and then there's one that gives you the interview, and they come back and give you another interview in 2.
Yeah, that's when you get to punch them out if you want.
Yeah, you can punch them out in all 3 games.
Oh, all 3? Okay.
I'm pretty sure. That's my main goal for this series now.
And then Jessica Chobot is an embedded interviewer on the 3rd game, which
Interesting. I just remember, like, in that interview, I like how they give you, like, Admiral Hackett comes on and gives you, like, a performance review after the interview. And he's like, listen, Shepard, you made us look real good on that news report. I really appreciate what you did there. The only thing, there's only one thing you did wrong, and that's, why are you giving out real secret military information? I'm doing that. That's, please. And you're like, I'm sorry, sir, that was my bad. He's like, hey, it's fine. Listen, I'm gonna go back to bed. I'm a little hungover, and that's how that goes down. But yeah, I think that's all I have for Mass Effect 1, unless anybody has anything else.
Yeah, he told me not to disrespect the journalist for some reason. I don't know why he'd say something like that.
He didn't say anything to me. I don't even remember him talking to me. Well, I was also hitting spacebar a lot in this game because I would read, but I read really fast. So I just space. I know I played this game completely wrong.
For games like this, I read faster than the dialogue goes, but I enjoy hearing the performances of the actors, especially a game like Mass Effect has such great voice acting, other than Caden, that he's just so boring. I know that he was one of the big voice actors from Baldur's Gate 2, and I didn't play Baldur's Gate, but I can't imagine that character in Baldur's Gate 2 being any more interesting than Caden, because the guy's delivery is just so wooden and boring. But anyway,
it's like BioWare didn't think that people wouldn't notice they brought Karth back from KOTOR just for this, because he's the same character.
Oh, that's what it was, KOTOR. Okay,
yeah, that's right.
Well, I also got to say, though, that I had a bunch of comments about him being boring. I was going to read them on the show, but then they deleted my post, so I can't tell you. And I can't believe that. I've never seen a thing on Facebook that said, I'm sorry, dude, your post has been deleted due to community standards being broken. Not your fault, but community standards were broken. I'm like, what?
I'm sure that a lot of the Ashley being racist, started flagging, certain algorithms.
That's probably true, yeah. Not knowing the context of things, I bet you're money, you're right.
I didn't read them because I didn't care, but I'm a little now that I'm a little bummed because I wanted to mention on the show, and they just deleted my post.
You broke the community.
Yeah, you broke Facebook.
Broken, I think.
I should commend you, because Facebook should probably get broken by now. Somebody should just break it forever.
Facebook is a wonderful way to freely promote this show.
Wonderful way to. Never mind. I'm going to stop talking about Facebook.
There's someone I know that does not talk to me anymore because she said things that were I did not agree with, and I said things and she did not agree with those. So that's all I'm going to say there.
That's Facebook in a nutshell. Yeah, that's all I got for Facebook in Mass Effect.
Any last things to say about the ending? Anything before we go on to questions, comments, and memories?
I would just like to say, because, then this will come in way later on Games My Mom Found, but I would just like to posit that the actual ending of Mass Effect is bad, but also the actual ending of Mass Effect 2 is bad, and also the actual ending of Mass Effect 3 is bad. The series has just always had bad endings. It's always the stuff that leads up to the ending that's the good shit, and then the actual final cutscene stuff is always garbage.
Yeah,
I disagree with you on 3, but we'll get there someday.
It's I don't hate the ending of 1. It's obviously, the one thing I do like about it is, there will obviously be another Mass Effect 2, because, they show, it's basically like a tie-in. They show, all the Reapers still behind the thing and flying, and they're like, oh, they're coming, motherfucker, they're coming. And you're going to have to do something about it, I guess. Maybe. Please buy Mass Effect 2. That was basically the ending. But it's I don't hate it, but, it's never been the strong point of the series. Yeah, even in 2, it's the
suicide mission, but
the
then
final mission in 2 is amazing, but the final actual resolution to everything is eh. Although I do love fucking telling what's his name, the elusive man, to fuck off at the end. That's pretty fun.
Yeah.
Okay. That's all I got for the ending.
I mean, like I said, I went so deep in the lore again that I could talk here for hours, but I'll save you guys.
Yeah.
Hey, this is actually going to make it under 3 hours raw recording, even after all our issues that we had.
Yeah, I believe it. That's fantastic.
I think it's only about 15 minutes before we had the first breakdown, and then it's been about over 2 hours since this part.
Neat.
You guys talk about how cool the Normandy is of ship?
No, we never did, actually.
It's so awesome. It's like...
Yes, you're right. I don't know how we didn't mention that. The Normandy is one of my favorite ship designs, period.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really great. It's too bad that it has... well, it's not bad. It's just really weird that it has the galaxy's slowest fucking elevator. Yes. Like, it takes like an hour for it to go like 20 feet.
There's an elevator in Normandy?
Yeah, there sure is.
That's weird. I never thought.
Yeah, that's where you find all the other people and that you didn't talk to because
the only thing in the ship was Joker. What are you talking about? It was just Joker, and that was in the galaxy map. That was it.
It's like, welcome to the party. Get down the storage bay. We'll call you if we need you.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, they like it there. They're hanging out. There's tables with weapons, and they can work on. Exactly. Good. That's catering is very fun.
I am 100% playing this game again now because I'm like really. You guys I'm not going to read a lot, but I'm going to do side quests and play more.
There's even a guy down there. If you didn't go down, if you're seriously didn't go down there, there's even a guy. Yeah, there's even a guy that sells shit that you buy.
But Mike didn't buy any shit, so that doesn't matter.
I did Metagel at one point on the first planet, but then I stopped because I never needed to again.
I bought Metagel. What are these words? Oh my god.
I didn't play this game right, okay? Like, we do a lot of games on the show. This is the one that I play completely wrong. Like, completely wrong.
What?
Yeah, this is
you know what? I have to say this. It takes a big man to admit that. You know what? You're making strides, Mike, and
I didn't play Resident Evil 2 wrong, even though some people might say I did. I played Resident Evil 2 right for me with infinite ammo.
We play that the way we need to play it to get through it.
I have never had a game traumatize me more than that game where I didn't even want to go to sleep at night because I didn't want to close my eyes because zombies are going to get me, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. There's no I ain't going to sleep either way, but yeah, never fucking again. It was the weirdest thing, because I'm like, I knew better. I'm like, I'm fine. But I just couldn't get my brain to shut down.
And people say I'm a coward, including myself. I call myself a coward all the time, but I'm not afraid that zombies are going to eat me in my sleep. So I think
it's just I bought a new house and I was in the basement. So I don't like it. I need to keep it.
Yeah, so Mike is afraid that zombies are going to eat him in his sleep. That's fine.
Mr. X.
Mr. X, yeah, all right, he is.
Yeah.
He's scary.
But
that's a different video game.
Yeah, go back and listen to that episode.
Yeah, stupid.
It was 2 episodes before this. All right, I think now we should talk about questions, comments, or whatever the fuck it is anymore.
You don't even know your own.
It's been a night, okay?
The second to last segment of the show.
Yes. Well, first of all, episode where I've been doing this for 2 years, almost 2 years. The first time in my life, I actually posted the same question twice in the same group and didn't even realize. So admin's like, "Why'd you?" I did. I'm so sorry. I admit that I completely. So admin a giant bomb. I am sorry. I don't know how the hell I did that. But all right, first question I'm going to read from Jeffrey David. I shouldn't say question. Mass Effect, the first one is a triumph of world building and storytelling. I love the kind of hard, but not too hard, sci-fi setting. The reveal of what the Reapers actually are and the conversation with Sovereign is something that still sticks with me to this day. And some really good ideas that I wish the other games follow through on.
Yep. Again, for the third time, I'll say it. The other Mass Effect 2 learns all the wrong lessons from 1. And yes.
I think that like the overall world building continues through the next couple games though.
Oh, like, I was going to say 2 writing wise way above 1. Now 1 has a lot of work to do because it needs to establish an entire universe of things, and it does a great job at doing that. But 2, like, as just like, okay, the universe is established now, we don't have to worry about that. Now we get to expand on everything and like really flesh out some characters and really go nuts with this other stuff. And they do an excellent job writing wise. 2 is awesome. Definitely. And it even like the things it factors in from this game and everything else. 2 is amazing at it. I'm afraid to play 3, but so I can't speak to that. But writing wise, I've always found Mass Effect 2 to be really, really good. But gameplay wise and that sort of stuff, they learn a lot of the wrong lessons from.
Oh, this one is for Justin from Mako Green. I remember being such a staunch defender of the Mako.
A staunch defender of the Mako. Okay, well
there are a lot of them out there. They exist.
I said this before. I didn't hate the Mako as much. Like, it wasn't as bad as I remembered it being. It's just that aiming part. Like, and you have to really go out of your way to see the problem with it. But like, it's there and it's really annoying.
And actually, I would say, because I've never hated the Mako. I just don't like the way it feels. But I think a lot of that has to do also with like the generic nature of the extra planets, where I wish that they were more designed.
Yeah.
Like maybe if you went to like a third of the number of planets, but they were more curated, like that would be the big fix.
And again, I said this earlier, and I'll say it again. I will take the Mako exploration parts, which are at least interesting, and you find cool stuff on planets, and like kind of get into your own little space exploration troubles and whatever. Over scan the planet and hold the trigger in and find. Oh, look at the ratings there. Oh, they're great. I'll take the Mako over that any day, like, because at least you feel like shit can go wrong at any point in the Mako. Like, I was startled quite a few times from the Thresher Malls just showing up out of nowhere, because like sometimes you're just like, oh, okay, we're good, and just go, oh shit. Like that, those parts are really cool. Like, and you can only do that with the Mako. So I understand why you would defend it. It's just the cursor should shoot where I fucking aim.
All right.
All I'm saying.
This one, I think he got his games wrong, but I'm going to read anyway. From Alex Amido. As someone who has never played these, worth going back to? Yes. Is there good action? Yes. Outside looking in, I always thought it was a third-person tactical shooter RPG. Is that accurate? No. Also, who gives a fuck if your character died at the end? Wrong game.
It is a third-person tactical RPG.
Am I... Oh, what the fuck?
You just didn't play it like a...
I was like, no, it's not.
You just played it, which you point the thing at the thing and press the button.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, not tactical. I didn't even tell my men what to do, ever. Except for the one time the game made me.
This is the best Call of Duty Mike's played.
I'm gonna, again, I promise, I'm gonna go back and replay this game after I finish Chrono Trigger.
So here's the thing that I didn't say at the top of the show, is that I have taught multiple people how to play Mass Effect, because they've all, like, I've said, hey, you should play Mass Effect, and they're like, oh, I didn't like it. It's like, hold on, let me show you what to do. And they're like, oh, that makes a lot more sense, and then they enjoyed it, to the point that I've almost tried to create like a YouTube tutorial video about how to play Mass Effect 1, because the game doesn't teach you how to do it.
It does not. It's very bad at it.
It's so much more fun once you know like what you're actually, the way they're trying to make you play the game.
Yeah, they do such a bad job at guiding you in that direction. They do a little bit better in 2 with that stuff, because they have like a basic tutorial right off the bat. Like, this is everything you can do in this game, but like in 1 they're just like, this is how you take cover, shoot the gun, aim with this, that's it, go have fun. Like, it's like, I remember having to look up the controls multiple times because I was like, wait, what is anything?
All right, and I got from the Mass Effect group, I got one comment. I absolutely love podcasts. Good luck. Thank you, Trey Stevens. I love podcasts, too. That's all I got.
I hate podcasts. I don't know what he's talking about.
All right.
I'm disappointed in you. You're more passionate than that. I know how much Mass Effect fans are into the series.
Mass Effect. No, it's actually Giant Bomb. All right, from Giant Bomb, I have a couple more I want to read. From Andrew M. Love this. I read the prequel novel that dealt with Keith David's character. I always punched a repulsor, even when I was a Paragon. And I feel like ME2 outdid this game every way possible. I would play it again. Okay. From Brenton Jenkins. I enjoyed the story and the gameplay for the most part. Couldn't stand the inventory system personally. I don't think Julian liked it either.
Yeah, it is a weak point of the game. It gets really cluttered really fast, and you have to just start breaking things down that you don't. It is a mess. Like, it is not a strong point, but instead of fixing it, just took it out.
Yeah, right.
And this one from Samuel Williams. I love KOTOR and love the Dragon Age game, but completely missed Mass Effect, which is probably a real shame. It is. If you listen to this, we spoiled everything, but go back and play it.
I'm actually, like, if they do release that remaster, I'm looking forward to like a whole new generation getting to experience these games, because it is one of my favorite video game universes. It's one of my favorite universes. I prefer Mass Effect.
I agree with that.
So you got a couple more I'm going to read from the Overblood group. First one from Ron Huntone. If seeing your posts about Resident Evil are any indication, how many times did you have a heart attack in the opening part of this game? I could see. I had no problem at all. It wasn't all dark and zombies weren't grabbing me in the shadows. So
that's good.
And his real question, have you beaten this game on all the difficulties? I got stuck in the first boss when playing a Vanguard on insane difficulty. No.
He doesn't know you very well.
I have played it on all difficulties, and I prefer to play it on Insanity at this point. I wish that I had done it for this playthrough. I was like, oh, you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and blow through it on easy, and I was like, oh, this isn't even... It's not like, you know... Again, I was having fun just like eviscerating my enemies with all of my abilities, but it wasn't as satisfying as it is when it's like, oh, I really got to make sure that I'm doing everything, you know, to make things come out in my advantage. So
yeah, I've not played the Insanity thing. I'm not a challenge gamer. I'm not that guy. So yeah, normal's fine. Normal's enough of a challenge for me. That's perfectly fine, especially for Mako stuff. I don't want to see Mako parts on Insanity. I don't.
I mean, it's the same. It's just that you take more damage.
Oh, that's even worse. Like, I just... okay, anyway, yeah.
All right, here's two I want to read. One you guys will have comments for. From Jen Williams, punching the reporter is to this day one of the funniest and satisfying actions I've ever chosen in any choice-based game. Agreed.
I really love punching the reporter, man.
And from Brian Bowen... This one's for you, Julian. I'm sure I'm alone on this, but I love the inventory setup. I love picking loadouts and min-max stuff.
I mean, I love the inventory. Like, I love the different weapons and armor that you get, and I love the armor mods and the weapon mods. I just don't like the interface for it. Yeah, that's my thing.
It's not so much the fact that you have armor and weapons. That shit's cool, and that should have never gone away. Yeah. It's the fact that sorting through it and getting a lot of repeats and like going, okay, I have max capacity right now. I have to go break some stuff down so I can get new stuff, and it gets a little tedious after a while. So
and also, like, I don't like the fact that like you can basically cap out on like weapon stats. So like towards the end of the game, like, you cannot get any weapons that are better than what you have, even though they are different weapons. Like, once you get a pistol that is just completely filled up on the damage bar, like, there's nowhere to go from there. So
right.
You know, it's like, okay, I got my awesome. It's not the Spectre gear. It's like there's something above the Spectre gear where it's I think it's like the something 10. And it's like once you have that, it's like you don't need anything else for the rest of the game, and you get it way before the end of the game.
I think their idea was like, because you can only, I'm guessing you can only like possibly get to a certain level of experience points, right? Because there's only so much to do.
On, like you 50 is the cap, and I hit the cap like I think on Vermeer.
Yeah, I don't know if I hit the cap. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. But yeah, like I'm guessing they designed it a certain way to be like, well, if you're going this far, there's really nothing left for you to do. This is pretty much where the game, like, you know, you're going to be overpowered with this amount of with this weapon or whatever. Because like, I mean, even with Spectre Mastery, even if it's not the best or whatever, like, because I kind of remember that after you mentioned that, I remember there being like something slightly above it, but I don't remember exactly.
Yeah.
But like, I remember even with just that stuff, like just plowing through shit, like it was nothing because you were just so overpowered at that point.
And Mike, I know you said that you only use the assault rifle, but the shotguns in this game are next level shotguns.
They are pretty
I tried them a couple times, but I wasn't close to people if I could help it. They died before we got there.
If you get a strong enough shotgun, it doesn't matter how close you are.
Okay. And then there's a couple more I want to read, then we're gonna go to Shelfer Box. From Nick Reese, I made the main villain commit suicide through words, 10 out of 10. And from Stephen McNeely, so I grabbed this game by chance. There wasn't much out that I wanted to play at the time, so I grabbed this. I played it for a solid 2 weeks and loved every single second and have continued to enjoy that series, excluding Andromeda.
Hell yeah.
And last one I'm going to read part of this, from Jack Myers. Mass Effect, my favorite in the series. To this day, it's also probably one of my favorite games of all time, but it came out when I was so young, I always got confused and lost in the Citadel. I think I restarted like 6 different times. I don't remember how I came to own it, but then 7th time, I swore to myself I would beat it, and I did, and it was amazing.
Nice.
All right. And
everybody has to have that first RPG experience where they don't know what they're doing, and then finally they kind of grow into it.
Mine was Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Defend that game forever.
Oh, I love Mystic Quest.
Yeah, it's fun.
I love Mystic Quest too. Actually, it's going to be on the show one day because I want to talk about it because it's.
It was my PG. I have fond memories of it. It was good.
It's made me first. I got lost in Mystic Quest.
Oh, I was terrible at it. I didn't understand what the game even was for the longest time. I just wandered around and press the attack button, and sometimes things would go well, but most of the time they did not.
I was a kid for a long time, but we'll get there. All right, let's go to Shelf or Box. And Mike, since this was your pick, why don't you go first?
So I fully expected to hate this. I was one of those people, like, I remember really not liking the first Mass Effect, like 2 and 3 or so actiony, and I just remember 1 being super clunky, but I had a good time with it, playing through it. I got to be an asshole, which is fun. I don't always play Renegade. I know some people are one way or the other and don't venture into the other side. I like to play both sides when I can. Yeah, I hear you, Mike. But I started 2 right after, and like everything feels so much faster. The combat feels more fun. I am one of those people that prefers it. So damn, this is a tough choice because like I did have fun, but like even BioWare's like people don't like 1, so we're gonna give you Genesis where you can just pick some of the options and not have to play the first game again. I feel like I gotta put it in the box because it just made me want to play 2.
Okay, how about you, Justin?
I think that person is a monster and very wrong with their opinion, but because I will put this on my shelf any day. I don't understand. So that's crazy talk to me. Like, I get what you're saying, that the shoot bangs are get better in 2. I do get it. But how, like, when you play through 2, how much now I don't know how did you play through 2? Did you play all the way through it?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Okay, all the way through it. So how much better is it when you actually play the first one? And because all of a sudden, like, the Thorian lady comes back, and the Rachni person comes back, and all these side quests that you did start coming. Like, I knew the person that Thane was trying to assassinate because they sent me on a side quest in Mass Effect 1 and all this stuff, and it establishes this world and makes it so much better. And yeah, you can play the little bullshit DLC that's $3 and it's goddamn stupid just so you can go, oh, I didn't play through the first game, so I just make all the important decisions and call it a day. That's stupid. Fuck that. No. Put 20 hours into Mass Effect 1. It's a great fucking game that they should have. Now, yeah, could they go back and make the shoot bangs just a little bit better in Mass Effect 1? Maybe just a little bit, and make it an actual sprint button. I could see it, and duck into cover and all that stuff a little bit better. Absolutely, they could. But I'm going to tell you something right now. Mass Effect 1 is a great start to a fucking awesome trilogy, and it should be on everyone's shelf if you like this series at all. Because not playing it and skipping completely over it is just fucking insane. Because like it just establishes so much good stuff, and it's a really good game. Now the Mako can go to hell sometimes. I have my issues with the Mako as well, but overall it's such a great start to a game, and you have to remember, like, this was BioWare's like first game like this. They didn't have, like, they were really, you think about it, let's see, they made Jade Empire, I think, was maybe the game right before this one.
Right before that, yeah.
Yeah, and before that was like the KOTOR series, where it was just like, take turns, everybody does the auto combat. It's very robotic, but it's cool because Star Wars sounds right. And I'm not cutting on KOTOR.
Episode 69 KOTOR. Of the show.
Yeah, I love KOTOR. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying that's what BioWare was. They were just, they weren't combat guys, and this was their like first like, hey, we're going to actually like put some thought and make it like an action-y game. Now they did it in Jade Empire, but Jade Empire was real rough going back to that. Oh boy, I did pretty recently here, and that game doesn't hold up so well, I don't think. But Mass Effect, I think, does. Now, is it a little clunky here and there? Absolutely. But like, man, it's so rewarding to play through this game and see all your decisions just keep going throughout the thing. You have to put it on your shelf, at least in my opinion. I think you're crazy for not doing it, fan, but you live your life. You live your best life.
I'm going to lose all my credibility with you two. And my favorite part of the Mass Effect series is the multiplayer in 3.
And you no longer exist to me. Yep, there's only one Michael on this podcast.
I'm not a multiplayer guy. I enjoyed what I played of the multiplayer in Mass Effect 3, but that, I am happy to hear that it's not going to be in that remaster.
Yeah, thank God.
I'm a little bummed. I like it too. It's not my favorite thing, but I enjoyed it. And Julian, how about you? Shelf or box?
Well, not only is this on my shelf, it's on my shelf twice, Mike, because I have my original. I have my original copy. Oh, it's on my shelf 3 times. I'm sorry. I have my original 2007 copy that is now signed by Jack Wall, who's one of the composers of the game. And then later on, many years later, I was finally able to find an affordable version of the collector's edition. So that is also on my shelf. And then I double dipped, or I guess triple dipped, when the trilogy came out for PlayStation 3, which I've never got around to playing, but I wanted to just to get tons of trophies really easy, because and when they do that remaster, I will be setting it to insanity from the jump and just going through the entire game that way, because it's I've done it so many times at this point that it's just like I said, it's one of my favorite games of all time. And it's funny because the Xbox One, it's real bad about doing sharing video clips, because I had so many clips that I wanted to put to Twitter, because I would just do awesome shit with biotics and tech powers, and I wanted to show it because it would just make me cackle with amusement. But I was never, the system would always freeze up, and it was oh, we can't actually do that right now. And I'm shh, okay.
I'm kind of bummed, because I would have liked to see the way you described it early on this episode, because that's why I'm going to replay this. I'm not going to be a soldier, because I think I did myself a disservice.
Yeah. Soldier. I've never played a soldier character.
It's just a shooter. The game became like Mike said, it was Call of Duty for me. That's essentially what it was.
I did it the first time I played the game, and I remember. So this is a weird story. I actually didn't really like Mass Effect the very first time I played it. I got to the Citadel, and I just wasn't digging anything about it, and. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until I came back to it after. I think there was also a couple other games I was playing at the time, and I came back to Mass Effect about a month later, and was just oh, I was just doing everything wrong. Oh, this is actually really, really fun, and I immediately turned back onto it.
You figured it out way faster than I did, because I was halfway through the game on the first time before I figured out what to do.
I can't remember what it was. I think it was I remember seeing. Some of the powers just go off randomly from Rex doing them or something like that. One of the early characters, I was oh shit, that's what I want to do in this game. I want to do stuff like that with my character. And then I realized, I had to teach myself how to do it. And then again, because this game's tutorial is weird and practically non-existent. But all I can say is, how can you not put this game on your shelf and then put Mass Effect 2 on your shelf? For something, it bothers me, just that image of I skipped to the first one, just Mass Effect 2. The first one doesn't exist to me. That's weird.
That's a lot of people out there.
Oh, it is a lot. I know, and I don't understand. I'm just no, but just aesthetically, just put them all there. It's fine. I don't understand.
I'll go last. I'm going to put this on my shelf. I had a great time playing this game. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel going back to it. I haven't played it since 2009 or 10 when I first got my Xbox, my 360, and that was the last time I played this game, so it really felt good to go back to it. I had a blast. I beat it way too quick, and I'm a little upset at myself for not doing more, and I'm probably going to go replay it. But it's a great game. Really holds up. Going on my shelf. I can't wait till we play 2 next year.
Yeah.
Justin, as soon as I beat Mass Effect 1, I went ahead and started Mass Effect 2, mainly because I wanted to make sure that my character imported correctly, because I have it digitally on my Xbox One. I just want to make sure that still worked okay. And then I was oh, I could just go ahead and do this right now, couldn't I? I kind of just want to play through them all again.
Yeah, it says a lot that you played through it fast, and yet you're still and you have a show about doing all these other video games, but you're still yeah, man, hearing all this stuff, I want to go play it again. It says a lot that you just have that urge.
I'll say a lot more if I actually do it, though. But
still, just that urge. I could go. Honestly, I could go and play this game again. There's something about it that's just it's just the right pacing. I don't know what it is. It's not too much. It's not you get done with it and you're I could go for more of this. I remember texting Julian when I got done, I was I kind of want to keep playing Mass Effect. Should I play 2? And he was yeah, I already kind of started 2 a little bit. I was all right, well, I guess I'll just play 2 now. So
and also because I just love having the song from the Normandy and the galactic space map in my head for days at a time. It's just oh, this is my happy place.
And all right, I think that about almost wraps up this episode. Actually, I should introduce what we're going to be talking about next week. I think Mike, it was my pick, right? You remember?
I think it was a mutual, but it might have been yours.
Okay, well, I'll introduce it anyway. We're going to be playing. We're going back to Arkham. We're playing Batman: Arkham Asylum on next week's episode.
Nice. I actually just randomly played through that a couple months ago, just because it was on my Xbox hard drive, and I was yeah, let me play this again. It's still really fucking.
Yes, it is. I just beat it a couple days ago, and then I didn't do all the Riddler stuff. I just couldn't, but we'll say that.
I did it the first time. I don't need to do it ever again.
No, I have a story for that, but we'll get there next time. So I'm very excited to replay that. And Julie, Justin, do you guys want to mention where people can go find you at?
Yeah, well, I'll do the Nerds Without Pants part,
Okay.
Justin.
Sure, you do that.
We are the hosts of Nerds Without Pants. It is another video game podcast. And if you enjoyed this lengthy deep dive into Mass Effect 1, if you listen to our latest episode coming out, episode 188, Justin and I brainstormed making a new Mass Effect game from scratch. And we also got a lot of input from our lovely listeners. And honestly, like, I've been thinking about it ever since we recorded it last night. And I really want that Mass Effect game to exist. We came up with a really awesome Mass Effect game.
It was pretty good.
If you let EA know, I'm sure they'll listen to you. You just got to give them about $300 million, and they might make your game. Maybe. Can't guarantee it, though.
No, it doesn't have multiplayer, so they probably won't. And it's not a games as a service, so probably won't make it, but that's fine. But yeah, that was a fun episode, and Nerds Without Pants I'm also there. But I make another podcast. It's called Clickbait Update with my sister Sam, and she is a fiery person who likes to fight with Mike Fallick over the making of how good game videos are.
I know him now.
Yeah, exactly. So imagine two bullheaded people who are stubborn as all hell going at it head to head, and they will not back down. That was our last episode. So go check
Also,
that out.
I gotta say that, like, you guys got a very diluted version of Mike Fallick on this podcast. I was kind of shocked. I was like, oh, okay.
We had to do a shorter version because he had to go, but yeah, no, he didn't appreciate when I was right. I think it might have been a bit. We called him Guest Mike, and it was kind of funny.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's a pretty cool guy. I'm glad that because of you, we were introduced to him.
Yeah.
It's funny. The first time I was introduced to Mike, I was like afraid of him. I was like, because I'd heard him on these podcasts, and then like after, it's funny because during a podcast, man, he is brutal sometimes. Like you gotta come hard at him, but when you get to know him outside of that, he's a fucking total sweetheart. But I love Mike. But yeah, that's another show that I'm on, and then I guess if you want, you can follow me on Twitter. Should we have done that? I don't know if we do.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah, you do Twitter plugs. I'll finish them.
Okay, yeah. You can find me on Twitter at Julian_Titus, and you can find the show Nerds Without Pants at NWPcast.
And you can find me at Tyrone_Swift, or you can find me my other podcast at Clickbait Update, all one word, because that's how things work on the Twitter.coms.
My mom thought it one word because I typed it in wrong when I started it. I'm like, well, too late now.
Yep, these things happen.
Yeah, and I just want to give a shout out to my buddy Watt, who you guys know as Smoofer Boy on Twitter, who actually went through and watched all the listened to all the episodes of Game My Mom Found, now going through all of Nerds Without Pants.
Yeah, that's been really cool. He's been tweeting at us, and it's cool because, like, our old stuff I think holds up content wise, but I'm always embarrassed as far as the audio quality. But it's really cool when people go back and listen to the old stuff and let us know, because it's like, oh right, like, because the show has changed so much in the 8 years that we've been doing it. So it's really cool to hear people engaging with that stuff. And like I said, you can tweet at us. We'll definitely respond. Like, it's always nice to hear feedback on the show.
I've known him since I was like 15 or 16. I first met him. I've known him for a long time.
Cool.
Nice.
We haven't seen each other in a long time. We ran, last time I saw him, we randomly ran into each other at a Walmart when I was eating, or Sam's Club when I was eating lunch. But
nice.
But yeah, he's an old friend of mine. So yeah, then he started listening to all the episodes of the show, so I give him credit. So shout out if you stick around this long, Watt.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
And again, I want to thank Julian for Justin for coming on for this over 3-hour podcast with a 4-hour recording due to technical difficulties.
Anytime.
Yeah, man, it was a lot of fun. I mean, this is average length for me and Justin.
I was gonna say this ain't shit to us. What are you talking about? This is what we do.
Difficulties, but again, one of the other times when Julian came on, we had Soul Reaver 2, where I couldn't even play the freaking game. We had technical difficulties where Skype wouldn't work.
Yeah.
So
it might be me. There might be a curse on me.
Yeah.
Blood Omen 2, Mike almost died. I mean, just. Hey, Mike, when did you finish Blood Omen 2?
Nope.
Why not?
I got it. I got to start Chrono Trigger. Priorities.
That's our episode 100 coming up here real soon.
Nice.
Actually, what I've been doing right now as we're recording, I'm going through Magus Castle, but hey. I know the game by heart. I'm just pressing button. All right, I want to thank everyone for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, please definitely follow Nerds Without Pants, follow Clickbait Update, and also give a shout out to Mike Fallick's podcast. I can't remember the name of it.
He's got a couple, but the main one he's doing right now is #Cult, which is phenomenal. And if you're interested in the whole like MGTOW and incel stuff, it's a very illuminating show.
We'd like to show us to him since we brought him up. And he's
actually show up on it.
I need to talk to him about that. My life doesn't come back till January. Then I'm going to actually try to guest on podcasts again once I'm done.
These things happen.
Fucking holidays. All right, so enough with that. And also, if you enjoyed this, if you enjoy our intro outro, courtesy of Bobby, a.k.a. Mike Stoney from the ZP Biteable Song to Cool Kid Squad, you will see a link in the show notes. Definitely check out his YouTube channel. And if you enjoyed this episode, we have tons of other episodes that we do. We have covered a bunch of other games. We cover even smaller episodes. We cover shorter games. We do comics. We do movies. We are currently going through the MCU. And at the time of this recording, you should be hearing Thor, The Dark World anytime. I would say how great or wonderful or how terrible it was. But
you.
Yeah, the movie existed. I don't even remember what the hell happened in that movie because that's a forgettable movie. Oh, check that out. Yeah, Mike. We recorded that a while ago too, Mike.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, that happens in my time paradox.
I loved that movie until I started reading Thor and then realized how much they fucked up one of the best Thor villains in the comics, and then I was upset.
It's not a good movie. I don't know anything about the comic with that villain, but that movie's just very, very forgettable. Only way to put it. All right, so definitely check those out, and please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Please subscribe to YouTube. I need my 100 followers or subscribe. Whatever the hell they are. You don't need to click on the bell because I don't give a shit how listen to this podcast however you want to listen to it. We're everywhere at this point. And again, thank you everyone for listening. We will see you guys next week. Bye everyone.
Bye-bye. Bye.